Wolf.
Thanks very much, Susan. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Standing by, CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you today's top stories. Happening now, the new Democratic leaders in Congress are flexing their muscles on Iraq. They're warning Mr. Bush that a troop increase would be a huge mistake. We're following all the action after the power shift. The president's team is in transition before he shifts gears in Iraq. We'll take you inside the job changes, and I'll ask the new chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Joe Biden, why he suspects the Bush administration already has given up on Iraq. And Arnold Schwarzenegger begins a new term as governor as a broken man, literally. The California Republican had to use crutches at his inaugural ceremony. But his political health appears to be very strong, in part because he sees green. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. Just one day after Democrats take control of Congress, they're taking the gloves off. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid delivered a preemptive strike against a possible troop increase in Iraq. They sent a letter to President Bush saying any such surge option, as it's been called, has already been tried and it has failed. Mr. Bush today formally announced an Iraq-related personnel shift. He's nominating retired Vice Admiral Mike McConnell as his National Intelligence Director. He'll replace John Negroponte, who's moving into the #2 job over at the State Department. Our White House correspondent Ed Henry and our senior political analyst Bill Schneider are standing by, but let us begin our coverage this hour with our congressional correspondent, Dana Bash. Dana?
Well, Wolf, it is day 2 of the new Democratic Congress, and already, as you said, the Democratic leaders are laying down their marker on the issue they say over and over again swept them into power, and that is the Iraq War. They sent a letter today to the president. That is the new House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, and they make clear that they are opposed to any surge in U.S. troops in Iraq, as the president is considering, because they said that's a strategy that he's already tried and that has failed, and trying it again would be a serious mistake.
The surge is a bad idea. The president has said he was going to listen to his commanders. If he's listening to his commanders, he can't do this. I know he's shuffling some in and out, obviously, because they're not telling him what he wants to hear. But what he needs to hear is the present situation in Iraq is deteriorating before our eyes, and a surge will not help.
What Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi are arguing for is something that we have heard also for quite a while, is that troops should not be going into Iraq, rather they should be coming out, and that they should start a withdrawal at the White House, at the Pentagon, in about 4 to 6 months. Now, again, we've heard that message before, but it is something that has a new kind of importance, if you will, given the fact that it's clear now that Congress is going to add some heightened scrutiny to the White House when it comes to Iraq. And, Wolf, it's not just coming from Democrats. Republicans are being a lot more vocal about what they want to see in Iraq, too. Senator John McCain, the Republican from Arizona, and also likely presidential candidate, he came out today as well, making clear what he wants. And what he said is that the idea of troops in Iraq is a good idea, more troops. He's been arguing for that for quite a long time. You would think that, considering the fact that the president is thinking about sending about 20,000 troops, we understand that Senator McCain would be happy. But instead, what Senator McCain said is that the president should have more troops in Iraq and do it in a sustained way.
This troop surge be significant and sustained. Otherwise, don't do it. Right. It has to be significant and sustained. Otherwise, do not do it. Otherwise, there will be more needless loss of American lives.
The worst of all worlds would be a small, short surge of U.S. forces. We've tried small surges in the past, and they've been ineffective because our commanders lacked the forces necessary to hold territory after it was cleared.
And Wolf, Republicans are nowhere near united on this issue of troops in Iraq. You have other Republicans like Senator Susan Collins of Maine, who recently went to Iraq with John McCain, who disagrees with him, says that she thinks that troops should not be added to Iraq, and actually told the president that. So you have a lot of different voices, a lot of different opinions and ideas coming from Congress. But maybe the most interesting thing today was from Senator Joe Lieberman of Connecticut, who simply said that the president shouldn't listen to members of Congress, that he's the commander-in-chief and he should make his decision. Wolf.
Joe Lieberman expressing his independent position now that he is an independent member of the Senate. Thanks very much, Dana, for that. Dan will be back in the next hour. Let's go over to the White House now and the job shuffling and strategizing before the president's big Iraq announcement next week. We'll turn to our White House correspondent, Ed Henry. Ed?
Wolf, we're told that big speech will be a primetime address, likely next Wednesday night, where the president will call for something in the neighborhood of a surge of about 20,000 more U.S. troops to Iraq, as you heard Dana reporting. Now, in advance of that speech, the president this afternoon just wrapped up a private meeting with Democratic senators, part of what the White House bills as the consultation process. But over the next few days, that will be put to the test as to whether this is real consultation or whether the president is just making the decisions here and ultimately will inform lawmakers in the end about what he wants to do. And I say that because coming out of this meeting, Democrats like Senator Barack Obama said that they basically told the president a surge is a bad idea, and various other lawmakers said it's really not a good option. Take a listen.
I think that sending more troops in rather than initiating some sort of phased withdrawal makes them feel as if we will be there to prop them up in perpetuity.
Now, the president is dealing with another potential complication as it gets set to unveil the latest Iraq strategy, and that is what you mentioned, the shuffling of national security players. You heard Harry Reid, the Democratic leader, talking about generals being moved out. He's referring, first of all, to what we know, General John Abizaid being moved out as the head of Central Command. He's going to be replaced by Lieutenant General Petraeus. General George Casey, who, as you know, has been the lead commander on the ground in Iraq, he's going to be out as well, replaced by Admiral William Fallon. Casey, though, will stay on at the Army and be Army Chief of Staff, we're told. Meanwhile, the president today made official what we knew yesterday, which is that he's going to be shifting John Negroponte from the Director of National Intelligence Office over to the State Department to be the #2 official, and he will be replaced by retired Vice Admiral Mike McConnell. Take a listen to the president.
John Negroponte's broad experience, sound judgment, and expertise on Iraq and in the war on terror make him a superb choice as Deputy Secretary of State, and I look forward to working with him in this new post. The vigilance of the DNI helps keep the American people safe from harm. And while Mike McConnell has the experience, the intellect, and the character to succeed in this position.
Now, Wolf, also Democratic Senator Joe Biden today pointing out that he is going to be, he released some of his witnesses, a list for those hearings that he will be kicking off next week throughout the month, really pressing the administration, a sign of the fact that once the president unveils this new policy, it's going to be something that will come under heavy scrutiny from a Democratic Congress. He no longer has a Republican Congress to really back him up, Wolf.
Just want to make a quick correction. John Abizaid, the Central Commander, he's going to be replaced by Vice Admiral Fallon. And George Casey, the overall commander in Iraq, he's going to be replaced by Lieutenant General, soon-to-be 4-star General David Petraeus. Just wanted to make sure we got that straight. The president, when is he going to make formally these announcements? Do we know, Ed?
Well, we're expecting actually right this hour. Tony Snow is briefing the press. It's been delayed a couple of hours because we're told he was expecting to get some final word from the Pentagon exactly on these personnel changes being announced. So we expect this afternoon that we should have sort of final confirmation on it, and then next week all these pieces will be put into place. All
right, we'll watch it together with you, Ed Henry, at the White House. He'll be back in the next hour as well. Just ahead, we're going to talk about all these new developments in the war in Iraq with the new chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Democrat Joe Biden of Delaware. That's coming up. While the great surge debate, as it's being called, rages among political and military leaders, what do the American people think about adding additional troops instead of withdrawing them? For some answers, we'll turn, as we always do, to our senior political analyst, Bill Schneider. Bill?
Wolf, there is a lot of anxiety here in Washington in anticipation of the president's speech next week, all because of one word. The first official use of the S word came when the new defense secretary went to Iraq last month.
We've discussed the possibility of a surge and the potential for what it might accomplish.
The same day, President Bush was asked if he supports a surge in the number of U.S. troops in Iraq.
It's interested in the Iraqis' point of view, and then I'll report back to you as to whether or not I support a surge or not. Nice try.
Why surge? Why not escalate? Because surge sounds temporary. Waves surge and decline. Escalation sounds long-term. President Lyndon Johnson escalated the deployment of U.S. troops to Vietnam in 1965. That war did not end for another 10 years. Whatever you call it, sending more troops would provoke a political firestorm.
I'm afraid that in many instances we are only sending targets and not troops.
Only 11% of Americans favor sending more troops. A majority wants to withdraw U.S. troops, either immediately or within a year. President Bush said,
There's got to be a specific mission that can be accomplished with the addition of more troops before, I agree on that strategy.
Two military strategists defined that mission this way. Bringing security to Baghdad, the essential precondition for political compromise, national reconciliation, and economic development, is possible only with a surge of at least 30,000 combat troops lasting 18 months or so. The surge must come from the Iraqis, too, a point the president says he made to the Iraqi prime minister.
I said that you show the will, we will help you.
A State Department official has been quoted as saying, quote, instead of a surge, it is a bump. Well, to quote the president, nice try. Wolf?
All right, Bill, thank you very much. Bill Schneider, Dana Bash, Ed Henry, as all of you know, they are part of the best political team on television. And remember, for all the latest political news at any time, check out our political ticker. Go to cnn.com/ticker. There's a developing story happening out at Oakland, California. I want to turn to CNN's Frederica Whitfield. She's got some details. What do we know, Fred?
Well, Wolf, we understand that both terminals at Oakland International Airport have been closed, in fact, evacuated because of a security breach, and now all the passengers in those terminals are being re-screened while they continue to look now. Authorities say they're looking for a man who simply bolted through the security check area, and now they are looking for that person. All incoming flights are allowed to land at Oakland International Airport, but all outbound flights are being grounded temporarily. It's causing a real mess just outside of the airport on Airport Drive as well, because that road has been closed, which means for a pretty serious backup there taking place. Wolf.
Fred, we'll stay on top of the story with you. Thanks very much. And remember, stay tuned to CNN day and night for the most reliable news about your security. Time for Jack Cafferty and the Cafferty File. Jack.
The government, it boggles the mind. Mexican illegal aliens who gain legal status in the United States could collect Social Security for the time they worked here illegally. That's thanks to a deal the Bush administration made with Mexico. This could mean billions of dollars from Social Security going to illegal Mexican workers. The deal was actually reached back in 2004, but never made public until now. Guess they didn't want us to know about it. A seniors advocacy group finally got the government to release the information by using the Freedom of Information Act. In order for this agreement to take effect, President Bush has to sign it and send it to Congress. They then have 60 days to vote on it, or the deal becomes law. You may want to let your congressman or senator know how you feel about it. Social Security has unfunded liabilities in the trillions of dollars. We don't have enough money to pay our own citizens their retirement benefits. But President Bush saw fit to make a deal with his buddy, Vicente Fox, that he apparently didn't want anyone to know about, that would allow illegal Mexican aliens to collect U.S. Social Security benefits. Here's the question. Should Mexican immigrants who worked in the United States illegally be allowed to collect U.S. Social Security benefits? Email your thoughts to CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile. Wolf.
Jack, thank you. Jack will be back later this hour. Coming up, day 2 for the new Democratic Congress brings more action We're going to go live to Capitol Hill to find out just what lawmakers did today. Plus, we're also going out to California, where the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, is inaugurated for a second term. But is his bipartisanship a model for national Republicans? Plus, the new chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Joe Biden, says the White House effectively has given up on Iraq. I'll ask him about that statement when he joins us right here in the Situation Room.
You gotta go where you wanna go and do what you wanna do. Introducing the breakthrough in joint pain relief. New Move Free Advanced, with the formula clinically shown to be 2 times more effective than glucosamine and chondroitin alone. Uniflex protects, joint fluid replenishes, and glucosamine and chondroitin help rebuild your joints. New Move Free Advanced, joint pain relief 2 times more effective than glucosamine and chondroitin alone.
Miracle Ear has been helping millions of Americans hear better for almost 60 years. With more than 1,000 locations all across the country, including many in Sears, we're always there when you need us with personalized service. And now, during our digital sales event, get a personalized hearing aid for only $795. That's right, Miracle Ear quality for only $795. Call 1-877-908-HEAR for the location nearest you. Don't delay, this $795 sales event ends February 21st.
Are our SUVs as much fun as our bikes?
You think you can handle it?
Can you? Introducing the all-new Suzuki XL7 midsize crossover SUV. It's going to be a great ride. Get 0% financing on XL7 with no payments till April 07. Offer ends January 31st.
Tonight, Intolerance in America. What's just below the surface? Paula Zahn brings everything out in the open. Tonight, 8 Eastern.
Think your pets are safe from fleas and ticks in winter? Think again. To protect against skin irritation and disease, they need flea, tick, and heartworm medication year-round. Plus supplements like Super Joint Enhancer for cold weather joint pain. Fortunately, they cost a lot less at 1-800-PET-MEDS. And they're delivered free right to your door with a 100% guarantee. I trust 1-800-PET-MEDS for fast service, free shipping, and big savings. Call now or order online.
Stay calm. We're gonna save you. Stop freaking out. Hop into the basket, one at a time.
Save some cabbage. Sign up for Comcast Digital Voice for just $39.95 a month, every month. With unlimited local and long distance plus voicemail. Because the less money you pay, the more you get to keep for yourself. Just call 1-888-COMCAST. Comcast Digital Voice. It's Comcastic.
Investigations Unit, series premiere, CNN Saturday, January 20th.
On Capitol Hill, House Democratic leaders are spending much of their second day in power rewriting the rules. Today's prime target, lawmakers' costly pet projects that help swell the federal deficit. Let's check in with our congressional correspondent, Andrea Koppel. Andrea?
Wolf, Democrats say during Republican control of Congress, the number of earmarks exploded from about 1,400 to today, what's close to 14,000. Ending that abuse was just one of several immediate changes to House rules that Democrats have already made.
We can do it! The Speaker of the House flexed her new political muscle, leading her party to change rules that would force Congress to live within its budget, also known as pay-as-you-go. Newly minted Congressman Brad Ellsworth, an Indiana Democrat, said Congress had to cut the federal deficit.
Hoosier families in my district make tough decisions every day about how to balance their budget, and it should be no different from the Congress of the United States.
But Republicans complained the move would lead to higher taxes.
PAYGO is a provision that is designed to prevent us from being able to ever enact tax relief. I believe that tax relief helps the average American worker. It helps create jobs. It lets us have more money to keep in our pockets.
Speaking of money in their pockets, under new rules passed Friday, lawmakers will have a much tougher time sneaking requests for millions in taxpayer money, known as earmarks, into spending bills. In 2005, for example, the senior senator from Alaska, Ted Stevens, finagled over $220 million for a bridge connecting an island with fewer than 50 people on it to the Alaskan mainland, which critics dub the bridge to nowhere. Now, when a lawmaker asks for money for projects back home, he must make it public and justify the expense.
And we are going to use the disinfectant of sunlight. And everybody's going to know everything they need to know about these earmarks.
Now, Republican leaders, meanwhile, sought to put Democrats on the defense and said if they really wanted to foster a spirit of bipartisanship next week, rather than just putting forward their own legislation, Wolf, they should agree to discuss and debate a Republican plan to make health care more affordable for businesses, for small businesses, especially something that Democrats have routinely rejected over the last 10 years or so.
And I take it she's now in Baltimore, where she was born, even though she represents a district in San Francisco, has lived in California all these years. What's going on?
Wolf, Nancy Pelosi has returned to her Baltimore roots. They're going to be renaming a street that is quite literally outside her old front door at the intersection of Albemarle and Fawn Street. They're going to rename it Nancy D'Alessandro Pelosi Way. D'Alessandro, of course, her maiden name. Her father was the mayor of Baltimore. This is part of, some analysts say, an attempt to sort of rebrand Nancy Pelosi, not just as that liberal from San Francisco, but of someone who came from the gritty, working class community of Baltimore, an Italian Catholic community. She lives in Little Italy.
All right, good. I love that area in Baltimore myself. Been there several times. Thanks very much for that, Andrea. Still ahead. With friends like these, a Democrat who was a leading ally of John Kerry's 2004 presidential campaign unleashes. We'll tell you what's going on. Plus, I'll press Democratic Senator Joe Biden about his presidential prospects and whether an announcement is imminent. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
Tonight on 360, an unforgettable story of love and sacrifice. Letters to a baby boy written by his father, a soldier in Iraq, and read by his fiancée.
Remember who taught you to speak, to walk, and to be a gentleman. These are your first teachers, my little prince.
Advice and love from a father serving his country so far away from his baby boy. 360 tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
As you age, it's essential to make the best healthy aging decisions, which is why GNC developed the GNC 50 Plus multivitamins, supporting healthy aging with energy, heart, vision, and memory support. For more than 70 years, we believe a quality life starts from within. Live well.
I was just getting to the good part, when Uncle Ernie dropped his tons. Oh, I'd seen that look before. It was heartburn. Before you could say duck sauce, I was there with my Pepsid Complete. I told him only Pepsid Complete starts to neutralize acid on contact and keeps heartburn from coming back all day or all night. In no time, Uncle Ernie was in moo shoe heaven, and I had my eye on the spicy dumpling. Pepsid Complete, just one and heartburn's done.
They want your baby. We have to leave. Newsweek calls Children of Men a gripping thriller. Spellbinding rapes Rolling Stone. The LA Times proclaims it's Blade Runner for the 21st century. Children of Men, rated R, now playing.
I was turning 50, and so were my eyes.
Nancy came into Pearl Vision for her annual checkup.
Now my eyes see perfectly.
They're Nancy's eyes, but they're my responsibility.
Right now at Pearl Vision, buy one pair of eyeglasses and get a free pair valued up to $200.
You need control of your sales materials so your field staff from coast to coast can order the current documents online. From printing to online document management, turn to PIP to turn down the stress. PIP, easing the pain of business.
What does it mean to refinance all your loans into one simple low monthly payment? It means a combo loan from Countrywide. It combines your first mortgage, your second mortgage, your auto loan, and your credit card debt into one low monthly payment. It means simplicity. It could mean extra cash in your pocket. It means saving money every month. It means with hundreds of home loan options, no one can do what Countrywide can. 1-800-CAN-DO-88.
All next week,
A CNN exclusive. Soledad O'Brien reveals the papers of Martin Luther King, his deepest thoughts, his plans, his fears. The King Papers. All next week, American Morning, 6 Eastern.
Here's a check of our political radar this Friday. President Bush beginning the new year still in a slump in the polls. A new CBS News survey shows President Bush's job approval rating slipping to 30%, down a point from last month. And the poll shows just 23% approve of his handling of Iraq. Former Democratic Party Chairman Terry McAuliffe is venting some old frustrations with John Kerry's 2004 presidential campaign. In his new memoir, McAuliffe reportedly lashes out about the Kerry camp's decision to back off from some tough criticism of President Bush. AP says McAuliffe calls that move, and I'm quoting now, one of the biggest acts of political malpractice in the history of American politics. Kerry now is mulling a second run for the White House in 2008. A new boost today for John Edwards' bid for the Democratic presidential nomination in 2008. Prominent abortion rights activist Kate Michelman tells CNN she's backing the former senator's campaign. And remember, for the latest political news at any time, check out our political ticker at cnn.com/ticker. Up next, is the White House waving the white flag on Iraq? The new chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee seems to think so. My interview with Democrat Joe Biden just ahead. And is there a secret to Arnold Schwarzenegger's success? As the California governor begins a new term, we'll look at his efforts to find middle ground. We'll be right back.
And there will be a true faith and allegiance.
This is the AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan card. You know what's great about this card? Wherever you go, nationwide, your coverage travels with you. And that's just one of the many reasons you need the card you can trust. Because with AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance, you get things like a full range of plans, the ability to apply year-round, personal health insurance advisors to help you make the best decision, and so much more. If you're turning 65 or older, or you've already enrolled in a Medicare supplement plan, call now for this free information kit and Medicare guide to help you navigate today's complex health care environment. Learn why these Medicare supplement insurance plans are the choice of millions of Americans and are exclusively endorsed by AARP, an organization that's all about life after 50. AARP Medicare supplement plans, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, help cover some of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare alone. This could save you thousands of dollars out of your own pocket. Plus, you can choose any doctor or hospital in the U.S. and apply anytime year-round. So call now. Here's what your friends and neighbors are saying about us. What a wonderful service this has been. Thank you for the excellent service provided. I love AARP Healthcare Options. Look, you want to do away with almost all claim forms? Like the sound of no referrals needed to see a specialist? With this card, you get all that too. Finding the right coverage can be really challenging, especially since Medicare supplement insurance is now more important than ever. That's why the legwork's been done for you. So feel great about making a smart, informed decision. And call to get your free information kit and Medicare guide. Then you'll find out more about a full range of plans, personal health insurance advisors, and coverage that travels nationwide. Yep, this is one great card.
My name is Greg Moore. I'm 42 years old, and I take OsteoBiflex twice a day.
OsteoBiflex, the #1 doctor-recommended joint care brand.
My doctor recommended I take OsteoBiflex, and it's great. I'm an active guy. I play basketball once a week. I play softball, and I run around with the kids.
The glucosamine and chondroitin, as found in OsteoBiflex, actually lubricates and cushions your joints.
I would highly recommend OsteoBiflex to anyone. It's done a great job for me.
For a $3 off coupon and more information on OsteoBiflex, go to osteobiflex.com right now.
You don't have to die from cancer. Right now, there are things you can do to save your life. Join me and the ultimate survivor, Lance Armstrong.
Saving Your Life, a Dr. Sanjay Gupta special. CNN, Saturday, January 13th.
To our viewers, you're in the Situation Room, where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Happening now. The new Democratic leaders in Congress launch a preemptive strike at President Bush. They sent him a stern letter saying if he decides to order a U.S. troop increase in Iraq, it will be a big mistake. The president is paving the way for some changes in Iraq by making more changes in his team. There's new confirmation he's tapped 2 candidates to fill some top military positions overseeing the war. Earlier, he announced he's nominating retired U.S. Vice Admiral Mike McConnell to replace John Negroponte as the National Intelligence Director. And new bloodshed in Baghdad. The driver for Iraq's agricultural minister was shot to death today. And the U.S. military death toll since the start of the war in Iraq stands at 3,006. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid aren't the only Democratic leaders in Congress giving the Bush administration some grief today as the president prepares to announce his next moves in Iraq. And joining us now, the new chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Joe Biden, Democrat of Delaware. Mr. Chairman, congratulations. Thanks very much for joining us here in the Situation Room.
Well, thank you very much, Wolf.
I woke up this morning, read this interview you granted to the Washington Post. Let me read one line from it. I have reached the tentative conclusion that a significant portion of this administration, maybe even including the vice president, believes Iraq is lost. That's a pretty shocking statement. Give us the context. Tell us what you know.
Well, let me tell you what I think. As I said, I have a tentative conclusion. I start with the premise that Vice President Cheney and Secretary Rumsfeld are very smart guys. I've known them and worked around them and with them for the last 30 years. They're very bright. I could not believe, and we've been on your show and talked about this, that the last 3 years they actually thought we were making progress. I could not believe the assertions about them saying we've trained up Iraqis and we're doing so well that they actually believed. And so I've reached the conclusion that that they had to know how bad things were, but they had to have reached the conclusion of one of two conclusions. Either the radical change necessary in order to get this back on the right path was something they weren't willing to recommend, or 2, they concluded that the best thing to do is keep this stitched together and hand it off to the next president. And that's the tentative conclusion I have reached, because these are very smart guys.
So are you just surmising this based on
I'm surmising this.
You have no inside information that...
I have no inside information to that effect, none whatsoever. Here they are at a time now where they're basically rejecting the recommendation of everybody in the world. Everybody in the United States that has made that they have respect for. The Baker-Hamilton Commission, the recommendations made by their own military, etc. And I think it's very difficult for them to change policy. The idea, I don't think they're willing to take a risk on talking to Iran. I don't think they're willing to take the risk on engaging Syria. I don't think they're willing to take the risk on putting more pressure on the government in Iraq to take over more responsibility. And therefore, because they're not willing to take the risk and they have no real alternative, 30, 20, 15,000 troops are not, emphasize, are not alone going to change the situation on the ground. And so I think they have to know that.
So here's the question, Senator. What can you do about it if it's not going to make any difference and more Americans are simply going to die in the process over the next year or 2, even if there is this so-called surge? What can you, as the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, do to stop that if, in fact, you feel strongly that it is over and it's a waste of time and energy and lives?
Well, by the way, see, I don't think it's over in the sense that I think we should take those radical steps, those chances recommended by the Baker-Hamilton Commission, the chances recommended by me and Les Gelb and others. They're taking a chance. They're a significant alteration of course. They're not willing to do that, obviously. So what can I do to stop them continuing to sort of incrementally go at this thing by adding another 15 to 30,000 troops? The honest-to-God answer, Wolf, is nothing. The reason I spoke out between Christmas and New Year's and my opposition was in the hope that my voice might be added to those of Secretary Powell and others to dissuade them from taking this step. So one was to try to have joined the chorus of those opposing this, and hopefully maybe they'd reconsider. That seems not to have worked.
You do have one option, as you know. That's the power of the purse to stop funding the war, if you will.
The truth is that's not a real option, Wolf. The idea that I was there when we tried that during the Vietnam War. It is a very blunt instrument that does not work very well. You have to cut off all funding, not just for the war. The president can still steam folks into the region, the fuel that goes into the aircraft carriers for which the aircraft fly off of, the tanks and the rest. You cannot say, as a practical matter, we're going to cut off the money for the bullets and the rifles of the young men they and women that they say are going to stay there. It's a false threat. What will change things, in my view, Wolf, and the reason why I'm holding these extensive hearings with Senator Lugar in the Foreign Relations Committee, is to lay out the reasonable options that are laid out there by others who may have a different path for us to get a more positive result, and to bring along and show that there's not just Democrats, but a significant number of Republicans who do not support essentially staying the course and adding 15 or 20,000 more troops. I believe the only thing that will ultimately change the president's mind, and that is to make a radical change in course, is if in fact he looks out there and sees that the bulk of the Republican senators no longer support his position. That's the political reality.
There are increasing numbers of Republicans who are distancing themselves from his strategy in Iraq right now. And Gordon Smith of Oregon, for example, Chuck Hagel, he's been out there for some time. Here's another quote from the interview in the Washington Post. He said, you said that they are simply trying to postpone disaster, referring to the administration, so that the next president will be the guy leading helicopters inside the green zone, taking people off the roof. That's a reference, of course, to Saigon, the last days of the war in Vietnam. Is that what you assess is about to happen?
Well, I assess that if we continue on the path we're on, that's going to be the only option left to the next president of the United States, whomever he or she is, because the ability to stitch back together a strategy, whether it's the one I've proposed or the one proposed by Baker or others, will have been lost. We will be so far down the road in a full-blown civil war that there'll be no possibility of retrieving it at that point. So I think that that will be the inevitability if we continue absent a political solution in Iraq. Unless the Sunnis and Shia make a judgment that we use every bit of influence we have to force them to come to, that they are going to have a political accommodation. Unless that happens, Wolf, there will be no success in Iraq.
One final question.
In my view.
Where do you stand as far as being the next president of the United States? Have you formed your committee? Have you formally gone through the process of declaring your intention to run?
I haven't formally done that, but we'll formally set up that committee, I expect, by the end of this month. It is my intention to run. I've been straightforward about that for the last 6 or 8 months. But the legal requirement of setting up a committee and transferring funds and all that, which is a little above my pay grade, that will occur at the around the end of this month. We haven't picked the exact date, but it is my intention, Wolf, to seek the Democratic nomination.
I'll end the interview where I started. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman. Thanks very much for joining us on this new year.
Thank you.
And we're just getting this word in from the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which Senator Biden chairs. Next Thursday, January 11th, 2 p.m., the witness before his panel will be the Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. 2 p.m. next Thursday, he's going to be having an extensive series of hearings together with Richard Lugar, now the ranking minority member of that panel. Interesting Thursday, if the President of the United States delivers his major address to the nation Wednesday night on his new Iraq strategy, Condoleezza Rice would go up to the Hill the next day to articulate, to further explain exactly what the President has in mind. We'll watch all of that together with you. Coming up, Arnold Schwarzenegger begins a new term as California governor with a plan to reach out to moderates that might make some other Republicans green with envy. And would a troop increase in Iraq be a huge mistake? Has the Bush administration actually given up on the war? Provocative questions for Paul Begala and J.C. Watts. That's coming up in our strategy session. We'll be right back.
That is stunning. You gotta put that on the fridge.
Thank you.
For what?
For this, for everything. On my budget, most agents would have given up on me. You must have shown me 20 different places.
It was about 34.
That's a lot.
What's a few dozen places between friends?
Century 21.
Would you like to refinance your adjustable mortgage to a low fixed rate and pull out some extra cash? Just use our free online e-appraisal calculator to find out how much your home is really worth. Log on or call 1-800-71-FIX, a GMAC company.
What I love about her?
What I love about him.
How much time do we have?
I love Thomas because he's just
I love everything about Sharon.
everything. Everything. I love him as he is.
Find everything you're looking for on eHarmony.com. Log on today.
Right now, we'll give you top quality vitamins and supplements for just 89 cents. That's right, just 89 cents. These, essential for a healthy heart. These, for joint support. These, to help your memory. Or any of these. And not just any vitamins. They're from Puritan's Pride, the #1 direct-to-you vitamin manufacturer. Just 89 cents each when you call now for these special introductory coupons. How can we do it? We're the manufacturer. We make them with the highest quality ingredients. We sell them directly to you, and right now you can try them for just 89 cents. There's no obligation. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. Plus, call now and you'll get the complete Puritan's Pride discount catalog free. You'll also get a $10 off bonus coupon good for any of the 1,400 top quality products you'll find inside.
Call now for this special bonus, the Comprehensive Vitamins and Supplements to Live By Guide. Yours free. Call or go to PuritanTV.com right now.
Dish Network subscribers, stand up and object. Court TV has been dropped. You've lost the only network that covers the daily live courtroom drama.
The only network
of today's biggest trials.
This is our expertise.
And the primetime destination for exciting crime and justice entertainment.
This sounds like a very personal attack.
Dish Network subscribers, don't stand for this injustice. Get Court TV by calling 1-800-710-1922.
Arnold Schwarzenegger limped to his inaugural on crutches today, but the California governor may be politically stronger than ever after mining the middle ground. The Republican told supporters at his swearing-in ceremony that centrist does not mean weak. CNN's Peter Viles is joining us from Sacramento with more. Peter?
Wolf, the governor recovering from a broken leg and major surgery on that broken leg, but he managed to stand up today long enough, about 15 minutes, to give a very provocative speech. In that speech, he said Americans are frustrated and fed up and disgusted with partisan politics, and they deserve something better, and so does our democracy. He said what they deserve is not bipartisanship, it's something different. He called it post-partisanship. Here's how he explained what he meant by that.
We don't need Republican roads or Democratic roads. We need roads. We don't need Republican health care or Democratic health care. We need health care. We don't need Republican clean air or Democratic clean air. We all breathe the same air.
Now, specifically on that issue of global warming, the governor took issue with those even within his own party who say they're not certain, they're not sure, they're not convinced that global warming is a real problem. He said he is convinced, he believes it's not just a real problem, but it's such a big problem that government needs to act immediately to solve it.
I, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
California's Republican governor is rapidly becoming one of his party's leading environmentalists, promoting solar energy, fuel cell research, and signing a Democratic bill to combat global warming, a trend some in the Republican Party believe is a myth.
We simply must do everything that we can in our power to slow down global warming before it is too late.
Before he was sworn in, Schwarzenegger threw this Green Dream party, celebrating everything from freshwater fish and organic granola to pedal-powered taxis. The governor's wife, in a green leather jacket, stood in for her husband.
Think green, eat green, live green, and live with zero waste in your home. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's more than slogans. Environmental groups generally give the governor high marks.
Right from the get-go, he said something was pleasing to our ears. He said there's no conflict between the environment and the economy. He's stayed that course pretty well.
What Schwarzenegger's doing is showing national Republicans how to reach beyond the conservative base using environmental protection as an issue with which to do so.
Schwarzenegger admits his agenda on this goes far beyond California. He says other states and other nations will follow California's lead.
And so will finally also our federal government follow us. Trust me.
Now, Schwarzenegger will make a major speech on Monday on health care insurance. It is already being reported here locally, Wolf, that he will propose universal health care coverage for all California children, including the children of illegal aliens. Now, the governor's office says they haven't made a final decision on that, but he will speak on it Monday, so it appears that this governor is heading straight into controversy on the immigration issue, Wolf, very early in his second term. Wolf?
Fascinating material. Thanks, Peter, for that. Peter Viles reporting from Sacramento. Up next, the Schwarzenegger strategy. We're going to have more on that. Is it something Republicans across the nation should be copying? J.C. Watts and Paul Begala will weigh in. And they'll join the great troop surge debate as well. Our Democratic leaders in Congress going to fight Mr. Bush on Iraq at every turn. All that coming up in our strategy session. We'll be right back.
Tonight at 8, your age, weight, finances. New Chinese adoption rules set the bar. Do you measure up? Parental profiling out in the open. Tonight, 8 Eastern.
Here's a radically simple suggestion from eLoan. Spend too much money spreading the holiday cheer? Consolidate your debt with a home equity loan and pay one low monthly rate. Just call 1-800-TRY-eLoan or go to eLoan.com. eLoan. Radically simple.
Monday night at 10, a special AC 360. CNN reports from South Africa as Oprah Winfrey realizes a dream. CNN's Anderson Cooper and Jeff Kleinange talk to Oprah in an unforgettable hour. Monday night at 10.
Tonight, Intolerance in America. What's just below the surface? Paula Zahn brings everything out in the open. Tonight, 8 Eastern.
The 47th Annual Portland Boat Show is proud to partner with Keep Hope Afloat, a PFD charitable foundation. The foundation is asking you to donate your old substandard life jackets. If the jacket can be recertified, it goes to the statewide loaner program, and 5,000 children 12 and under will be fitted with a free new Mustang survival jacket as part of the Life Jacket for Junior program provided by the Oregon State Marine Board, only at the Portland Boat Show.
Hello? Oh, hi, Mom. Today? House hunting? No, he'll be with us.
Must be cbseal.com. See every house in the market in one place. The interactive home search finds everything close to where you want to live. Use it to pre-qualify. Check the payment and find a realtor.
Looking for a new home? Watch the Tour of Homes brought to you daily by Coldwell Banker Barbara Sue Seal Properties on Comcast Cable Channel 15.
I've been waiting for so long, now I finally found someone to stand by me. We saw the writing on the wall as we felt this magical fantasy. Listen, baby, I've had the time of my life, and I owe it all to
You're making the point that we can only do business in America if we do it illegally?
No,
Are you really making that point? I think you have to do the right thing and say, if you do business illegally, I won't do business with you. We have to have respect for the law, except illegal aliens who are first-class citizens and the rest of us are second-class citizens. And I don't know why Americans should continue to respect any laws when the most significant laws we have are routinely violated right in front of us, and people like President Bush say we should allow these people to break the law. In fact, we should reward them.
Scott Peterson's defense attorney and more. Larry King tonight.
In our strategy session, Democrats in Congress blast the president over a troop surge. He says he hasn't decided on it yet. Could embattled Republicans take some tips from Arnold Schwarzenegger? Two provocative subjects joining us now are our CNN political analysts, Democratic strategist Paul Begala, former Republican Congressman J.C. Watts. Here's what Harry Reid, the Democratic leader, the majority leader in the Senate, Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker, wrote to the president today, among other things. Surging forces is a strategy that you have already tried and that has already failed. Like many current and former military leaders, we believe that trying again would be a serious mistake. You have a problem with the strategy of sort of preempting what the president's going to say? They don't know yet what he will say in his address to the nation next week.
I know, I think it's brilliant, and I hope, I pray that just like Joe Biden in your interview with him a few minutes ago, that maybe they'll preempt the policy. That is to say, they'll derail this. This surge would be a tragic mistake. They're right as a matter of record. The administration, our government, surged 15,000 troops into Baghdad recently. It did nothing to quell the violence. And there's already a news report out that a Bush administration official is admitting that this is a political move, not a military move. So this is a political ploy in search of a military rationale. It's why General Abizaid, as Pelosi and Reid point out in their letter, recently testified that he doesn't want more troops, nor do any of the other commanders in the field. So it looks like a political stunt, and let's hope that Reid and Pelosi can derail
Their
that.
argument basically is it's not going to work, and why endanger more Americans?
Well, Wolf, I could make an argument that it's a political move to send the letter when you don't know if in fact it's going to happen or why it's going to happen, what the rationale behind it is. I think first you should want to know why you're proposing to do this. What sense does it make? What is the rationale? And I think it sounds as though, as Arnold Schwarzenegger said, this isn't a Republican or a Democrat thing. This should be an American thing. And I think the president's trying to make a case that the things that I'm going to be proposing are the things that will get us in a good situation in Iraq, win this thing, and then get out of there. And to just dismiss it, you know, without hearing the rationale behind it, I think is a little short-sighted.
You heard Joe Biden say that he believes, he surmises that top administration officials, including the vice president, they believe this is over already and they're just trying to do what they have to do to resolve it one way or another. But they really have no great hopes that when all the dust settles, the new Iraq, as envisaged years ago, is going to materialize.
If, in fact, that's true, and he said he was just speculating, Senator Biden did, if, in fact, the administration has already decided this is a lost cause and they're sending more troops into that is a sin. That is a mortal sin. I think that the president has got to face reality. Maybe Senator Biden's comments will help. Hopefully this letter will help. General Abizaid himself said he doesn't want more troops there. So I think that the president is in a terrible bind, and it looks like he's making a political move.
It's a tough statement that Biden made, because he said he suspects the administration is simply trying to run out the clock, if you will, the 2 years that remain in this administration, and let the next president, whoever that may be, have to get the troops out of there.
Well, Wolf, I think that's irresponsible if you can, in fact, prove that. And that's speculation, and that's a political statement. And Senator Biden has been a lot more responsible than that. The fact is, we are in a war. We are in a tough situation in Iraq. The fact is, we must win this thing. And the president is responsible for coming up with solutions or with a strategy that he and his team can implement in order to win this thing. And I was disappointed and saddened to hear Senator Biden say some of the things that he said, because there's no basis in fact for him to say those things.
Well, he suspects that. He made it clear he has no inside information, but that's his suspicion. Let's go on to Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, he's done amazingly well. It wasn't that long ago people were writing him off after he lost all those referendums in California, and now he has relatively easily got himself reelected, in part by positioning himself in the middle.
In fact, a friend of mine, one of my Hollywood liberal friends who I talked to this afternoon, said it was one of the best Democratic speeches he'd heard in years. And in fact, Governor Schwarzenegger himself compared himself to Saul on the road to Damascus, this miraculous revelation that he's had that the power in America is in the center. I would, though, hasten, particularly when he talks about all the green support that he's got and the new environmental positions that he has, as Peter Viles reported on our air a moment ago, that I did notice that one of the major funders of the Schwarzenegger inaugural is Chevron, the oil company. It's one of the biggest polluters and biggest causes of global warming in the country. So let's be a little careful before we anoint him king of green.
Given the fact that he is now in the middle, Rudy Giuliani, according to all the polls, registered Republicans say he's their top choice, even above McCain, for the Republican nomination for president. Is this a new strategy that Republicans should consider? In other words, moving toward the center?
Well, Wolf, political pundits would consider J.C. Watts a conservative Republican, as defined by by this city. Well, I think as a conservative Republican, I should be talking about the environment. And I'm a social conservative. I think that the environment is God's. Why shouldn't we be good stewards of the environment? We should be talking about poverty. We should be talking about underserved communities, AIDS in Africa. These are things that Arnold Schwarzenegger has talked about. We may have differences on how we deal with these things, how we solve these problems, but I think it's a huge mistake for Republicans not to be talking about those things.
All right, well said.
Amen.
Hey, thanks very much,
Yeah, he's a
J.C.
preacher
Watts.
as well as a quarterback.
I saw a little of that preaching
yeah.
coming in, Paul Begala, J.C. Watts.
Pass the hat.
They are part of the best political team on television. And remember, for the latest political news at any time, check out the Political Ticker. Go to CNN.com/ticker. Still to come here in the Situation Room, the border wars. Should Mexican immigrants who work illegally in the United States get a reward of sorts from the Social Security Administration? Jack Cafferty with your email. We'll be right back.
At Johnson & Johnson, we understand the importance of touch. A nurse's touch
Feel good.
is skilled. A nurse's touch is caring. A nurse's touch can touch the world. Nurses, enjoy. We need you more than ever. A message of caring from Johnson & Johnson.
Sick of slaving over pots and pans you know you'll never get clean? Don't toss them. Rejuvenate them with the amazing Grease Bullet Cleaning Tablet. Just fill your sink with hot tap water, drop in the Grease Bullet, and soak your toughest baked-on cookware. They'll sparkle like new, inside and out, with no more scrubbing. Don't scratch your nonstick cookware. Grease Bullet cuts through caked-on cookie sheets, grimy glassware, even scorched iron skillets. It does the work so you don't have to. Lasagna. But what a mess. Even ceramic casserole dishes are no match for the Grease Bullet. This stove ring looks ruined. But look, Grease Bullet is armed with special enzymes that eat away baked-on grease and grime, making your cookware look like new again. Wow, look at that. Use it on expensive copper or this deep fryer for a quick cleanup. Use it for barbecue grills, muffin pans, even oven racks will shine like new. It's like having a personal dishwasher. It's the cleaner that's tough on grease, but easy on your hands. Plus, a little goes a long way. Just one bullet will transform all these pots and pans from sad to sparkling. Through this exclusive TV offer, you can get 6 grease bullets for just $19.99. Call now and we'll cut the price in half. That's right, you'll get 6 of the original grease bullets for only $10. But wait, as an added bonus, we'll double the offer. You'll get not just 6, but 12 grease bullets for the incredibly low price of just $10. That's enough for over 60 cleanings. Call now and we'll include the amazing Silver Lightning. It gets all your silver sparkling clean in seconds. A $20 value, yours free. Just pay shipping and handling. Place the conductor plate in your sink. Add baking soda. Pour in hot water and just set your silver on the conducting plate. Years of tarnish can be removed. Quick as lightning. You get it all. 12 grease bullets in this convenient bullet case. Plus the Silver Lightning Cleaner, a $60 value for just $10. But you have to call now.
Call 1-800-610-3751 to order Grease Bullet at the special TV price of just $10. That's 1-800-610-3751. This offer is not available in stores. Call 1-800-610-3751. Call now.
Tonight on 360, an unforgettable story of love and sacrifice. Letters to a baby boy written by his father, a soldier in Iraq, and read by his fiancée. 360 tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Closed captioning hours provided by Nature's Tears Eye Mist Dry Relief.
Nature's Tears Eye Mist, the natural way to soothe and moisturize tired, strained, dry eyes. Nature's Tears Eye Mist. Now, doesn't that feel better?
Let's check back with Jack Cafferty for the Cafferty File. Jack?
The question, Wolf, this hour is, should Mexican immigrants who worked in the United States illegally be allowed to collect U.S. Social Security benefits? Apparently they can under the terms of some weasel deal that the Bush administration worked out with Vicente Fox back in 2004. We're just finding out about it now because of some demands under the Freedom of Information Act. Needless to say, not a lot of you think this is a great idea. Andy in Nevada writes, I'm not sure why you asked this question. Once again, illegal's illegal. I think we have justification for impeaching the entire government for not enforcing the federal immigration laws. Donald in Bucyrus, Ohio, no, they should not. I wrote my congressman and senator about this today. Jerry in Napa, California, Jack, yes, they should. And the entire tab ought to be picked up by the employers who hired them illegally. Larry writes, unbelievable, it would even be an option. Does anyone in our government ever stand up for legal, middle-class Americans? Jeff in Bethesda, Maryland, if a formerly illegal immigrant and his or her employer both paid Social Security taxes for the period of time that the employee was an illegal immigrant, then yes, they should be able to collect benefits. But how many illegal immigrants pay their Social Security taxes? And Dawn writes from Rocky Hill, Connecticut, Jack, there's something desperately wrong with our system that such a situation would occur for a question like this to even arise. Talk about broken government. Wolf?
Jack, thank you very much. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Standing by, CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you today's top stories happening now. Many are calling it an incredible assertion. Has the Bush administration already given up on the war in Iraq? Democratic Senator Joe Biden says he thinks some top administration officials, perhaps even the vice president, have privately decided that Iraq is lost. But what does the vice president say? Also, resist the urge to surge. That's what top Democrats in Congress are telling President Bush, saying the idea of sending more troops to Iraq is one that's already been tried and already failed. Meanwhile, what does the new minority party in Congress think of all of this? This hour, I'll speak live with the Senate's new minority leader, Mitch McConnell, about his party's intentions and agenda. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. Major shakeup in the Bush administration only days before the president is expected to announce a new strategy for the war in Iraq. But at least one top Democratic leader, lawmaker that is, says there are White House insiders at the highest levels who believe it's already too late and that the war has been lost. The White House publicly disagrees. We have complete coverage of all of this hour with our White House correspondent Ed Henry, our congressional correspondent Dana Bash. But let's begin this hour with our Brian Todd. Brian?
Wolf, we're heading into what may be President Bush's last stand on Iraq. A major shakeup in the combat command, a possible surge in troops, all with just 2 years left for this White House to salvage something from a spiraling conflict. And now, new questions over who's on message. Just ahead of the president's big announcement on Iraq, a crucial White House meeting with senators. A top Democrat says they leveled with Mr. Bush.
Both Republican and Democratic senators expressed grave concern about the situation in Iraq. I personally indicated that a escalation of troop levels in Iraq was a mistake.
And as the president shakes up his combat command, new questions. Is everyone inside the White House on message on Iraq? The new chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Joseph Biden, tells journalists he thinks some top members of the Bush administration, possibly even Vice President Cheney, believe the war is lost. Biden and his aides tell CNN that impression is based only on his belief that Cheney and others have to know how bad the situation is.
I have no inside information to that effect, none whatsoever.
Cheney's aides would not comment on Biden's remarks, telling CNN Cheney's goals remain the same as the president's, a free and democratic Iraq that can govern, sustain, and defend itself. But a former advisor to Republican and Democratic presidents says there may be some cracks inside the White House.
I have heard for some time now there are individuals in the administration and the military who believe this, we've lost it, that the best thing we can do is manage defeat. There are others in the administration who believe that victory is still possible.
The aides to two top Republican senators, one of whom has close ties to the Bush administration, tell me they have no indications that any top White House officials believe that Iraq is lost. Wolf?
Thanks very much, Brian Todd, reporting for us. In Iraq, meanwhile, today, a Marine tank struck an improvised explosive device in Fallujah. No casualties reported, but at least 6 people were killed in sectarian fighting and a series of attacks around Baghdad. One of the dead is a driver for Iraq's agriculture minister, who's a supporter of militia leader Muqtada al-Sadr. Separately, a dozen bodies, including that of an Iraqi employee of the Associated Press, were found dumped around the capital, and a gunman reportedly attacked an Iraqi military checkpoint north of the capital, killing 4 Iraqi troops. To deal with this unyielding violence, might sending more American troops to Iraq be the best option? No, say the two top leaders in the Congress. For more on that, let's go to our congressional correspondent, Dana Bash. Dana?
Well, Democrats have been in power here just a little over 24 hours, and already the signs of change and confrontation are everywhere. Today, we got some new details about aggressive hearings that will be taking place in the next couple of weeks to question top members of the Bush administration on Iraq. And also, we saw a blunt message to the president from the two top Democrats.
On the question of the day, the new House Speaker had a simple answer.
Do you support a surge in U.S. troops in Iraq?
Day 2 in power, Nancy Pelosi joined the new Democratic Senate Majority Leader, warning the president in this blunt letter not to raise troop levels in Iraq. They called surging troops a serious mistake and a strategy that you have already tried and that has already failed.
The surge is a bad idea. The president has said he was going to listen to his commanders. If he's listening to his commanders, he can't do this. I know he's shuffling some in and out, obviously, because they're not telling him what he wants to hear.
The Democrats told Mr. Bush his urgent focus should be on troop withdrawal starting in 4 to 6 months. A clear reminder the White House war strategy will now face heightened scrutiny in Congress. Not just from Democrats. Republican Senator and likely presidential candidate John McCain warned reported plans of a temporary surge of about 20,000 troops won't work because it's not enough.
It has to be significant and sustained. Otherwise, do not do it. Otherwise, there will be more needless loss of American lives.
McCain favors committing 35,000 additional troops, and even then,
there is no guarantee for success in Iraq. From everything I witnessed on my most recent visit, I believe that success is still possible, but it will be very difficult.
Senator Joe Lieberman won re-election as an independent after losing his primary to an anti-war Democrat. He supports a troop surge too and said the president should ignore demands from the new Democratic leadership.
I think this is a time for the president to be president and Congress to respect that part of the authority of the commander-in-chief, and all hope that it works.
But senators from both parties did get a chance to directly challenge the president on his plans to send more troops to Iraq. There was a meeting today at the White House. One senator who attended tells CNN that Republicans were as skeptical as Democrats, making it clear to the president, in the words of one senator, that it was a, quote, big ask that will be very hard to explain to constituents. That senator also said that the discussion was open, but it was very clear, at least from this senator's perspective, that the president has already made up his mind. Wolf.
Tension building, though. Thanks very much, Dana, for that. Amid all of this, a major shakeup in the Bush administration, the president announcing new faces in some key positions. Among the changes, the president tapping the current director of national intelligence, John Negroponte, to be the next deputy secretary of state. He would replace Robert Zellick, who left the post in July to work in the private sector. Mr. Bush also nominating retired Vice Admiral Mike McConnell to replace Negroponte as the nation's spy chief. Both positions requires Senate approval. Our White House correspondent Ed Henry is joining us now with more on this part of the story. Ed?
Well, if the president plans to reveal his latest Iraq strategy in a primetime address next week, we're expecting it to be Wednesday, though officials say it could slip to Thursday, depending on how all the final details are worked out. And officials saying privately the expectation, as you heard from Dana, is the president is going to call for a troop surge, something in the neighborhood of about 20,000 U.S. troops. Now, in advance of that speech, the commander-in-chief has now finished a complete overhaul of the command structure. As you noted, the day after the election, Defense Secretary Rumsfeld pushed out, Robert Gates now in as Defense Secretary, and just moments ago, White House spokesman Tony Snow confirming that, in fact, General John Abizaid is out as head of CENTCOM. He's going to be replaced by Admiral William Fallon. Also, General George Casey now out as the lead commander on the ground in Iraq, to be replaced by Lieutenant General David Petraeus, though Casey will be staying on as the Army Chief of Staff and Elevation. Now, a moment ago, you heard Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid charge that the president is pushing out these generals because basically they're opposed to a surge, and he just wants people around him who will say what he wants to hear. That was flatly rejected by Tony Snow.
That's inaccurate. It's just flat inaccurate. General Casey is now going to be the chairman. He's going to be the Army chief. the Chief of Staff for the United States Army. General Abizaid is somebody whose counsel we will continue to value and will listen to.
Now, Tony Snow added the president wanted these changes to get done now so that these players will be in place in the coming weeks as the president plans to implement this new policy. Wolf?
Lots of changes going on. Ed Henry at the White House for us. Thanks very much, Ed. There's a developing story we're following right now in Denver. Let's turn to CNN's Frederica Whitfield. She's got some details. Fred?
Well, Wolf, the NTSB is now investigating a close call between two commercial airlines in Denver International Airport. Apparently, the planes came within 50 feet of each other when a commuter plane inadvertently went to a runway where a Frontier Airlines Airbus was about to land. The larger jet, the Frontier Airbus, was able to pull up, narrowly missing this commuter flight, which was part of the Key Lime commuter plane outlet. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, is now investigating.
Thanks very much, Fred, for that. Fred covering the story for us. Jack Cafferty is in New York with the Cafferty File. Jack?
Wolf, we have been in Iraq for almost 4 years. It's not like we're fighting to gain control of the entire continent of Europe over there. Iraq is a country about the size of Texas, 25 million people, most of them concentrated in a few major cities. President Bush has been telling us all this time that the generals on the ground had this thing under control and he was listening to them and taking their counsel. But now that things have gone from bad to worse and the outcry from the American public's getting louder every day, the decider has decided to throw out the old generals and bring in some new generals. Wouldn't you think after 4 years of fighting, the options in Iraq are pretty well known by this point? My guess is this is nothing more than change for the sake of change and can be filed under political eyewash. To a degree, it'll give the president some cover next week when he goes before the nation to talk about his new way forward. That phrase is translated, stay the course. He'll be able to stand up and say, well, it hasn't been going so well, but we got rid of the people who were in charge of that phase, and now we got people and new people in, and everything's going to be just ducky in the new phase. This is patently ridiculous. Here's the question. How will the shakeup of President Bush's military team affect the war in Iraq? Email your thoughts to CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile. Wolf.
Jack, thank you for that. Jack will be back in a little while. Up ahead, we're going to talk about the major Pentagon shakeup and how it might impact the war with the Washington Post's Tom Ricks. He's written a best-selling book about the Iraq mission entitled Fiasco, and he recently traveled to Iraq with the new Defense Secretary Robert Gates. Also, changes at the National Intelligence Agency being closely watched by relatives of 9/11 victims. We'll show you what they think about the nomination of Vice Admiral Mike McConnell as the nation's new top spy. Mary Snow with that story. Plus, an ordeal at sea now over for one American sailor. We're going to show you the complicated rescue mission that saved his life. All that coming up. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
The Situation Room is brought to you by Head On. Head On, applied directly to the forehead. Head On is available without prescription at your nearest pharmacy.
Head On, apply direct.
Head On, apply directly to your forehead. Head On, apply. Head On, I can't stand your commercial, but your product is amazing.
Head On is available without a prescription. New from the makers of Head On, introducing Activon. Joint and muscle pain, Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Joint and Muscle, in stores now. New from the makers of Head On, introducing Activon. Arthritis pain, Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Arthritis, in stores now.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
10 years ago, TWA Flight 800 exploded just minutes out of New York.
There was no saving anyone.
Think you're safe? It could happen again. CNN Saturday and Sunday night. What are airline passengers not being told?
These are people's lives you're dealing with. You can't play games like this.
What's really going on in the air and on the ground? A special 2-hour investigation.
Why are passengers still at risk?
CNN presents No Survivors. Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
Are you a homeowner with a first mortgage, second mortgage, auto loans, student loans, or credit card debt? Or would you like to consolidate your debts into one low monthly payment? Log on or call 1-800-71-FIXED, a GMAC company.
Money should be fat. It should be big. At HSBCDirect.com, we've created a way to make money into bigger money. HSBCDirect.com offers an online savings account with a 5.05% annual percentage yield. That's 8 times the national average. Making me money. Let your money grow big at HSBC. Brought to you by HSBC, the world's local bank. Member FDIC. Discover more at HSBCDirect.com.
Monday night at 10, a special AC 360. CNN reports from South Africa as Oprah Winfrey realizes a dream. CNN's Anderson Cooper and Jeff Koinange talk to Oprah in an unforgettable hour. Monday night at 10.
We're tracking an important story about Iraq. Democratic Senator Joe Biden says he thinks some top administration officials, perhaps even including the vice president himself, have privately concluded that the war in Iraq is lost. We want to talk a little bit more about that, as well as the major shakeup underway involving key figures. Joining us is Tom Ricks of the Washington Post. He's the author of the best-selling book, Fiasco. He recently traveled to Iraq with the new Secretary of Defense, Robert Gates. Tom, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Well, what do you think, first of all, about this notion that top administration officials may already have concluded, you know what, it's over, the U.S. is not going to achieve its objectives, and it's only a matter of time. Have you heard anything like that in all your reporting?
I really haven't, but it is clear that they expect to be in Iraq longer than just the next 2 years. So, yes, it's sort of a plain fact that this is now becoming a problem for the next president more than it is for the current one. That the next president is going to be the person who ultimately decides what the U.S. does in Iraq.
Well, explain that, because I'm a little confused. There's still 2 years left. You don't think over the next 2 years they can do whatever is necessary to try to resolve this situation in Iraq and see U.S. forces, at least many of them, come home?
Yeah, I think you could do that. That's kind of what the Iraq Study Group recommended. Bring your troop presence down to about 70,000 and use those troops to emphasize training and security for the new Iraqi government. But even so, that posits that you're going to have troops in Iraq for many, many years to come. And everybody thinks that as long as you're going to have troops in Iraq, there will be some fighting going on. So you might get a much better situation, it's doubtful, but you might have a much better situation with the changes that we see coming in the coming months. But even so, I think there's a general expectation of the U.S. military that troops will be there for many more years.
Because you've heard a lot of the critics say, you know what, they've tried this so-called surge. They've brought up the numbers of troops in the Baghdad area, in the Al-Anbar province, and guess what? It hasn't achieved the goals. And just to throw another 20,000 or so more troops into the situation merely would endanger them without really achieving much.
There's a real concern about that in the U.S. military, and even John McCain, who's an advocate of a surge, was saying today at a speech I attended that if you had the kind of small surge that the indications are that the Bush administration is contemplating, that is 10 to 20,000 troops for just a few months, McCain was saying he didn't think that would do much and in fact would be kind of dangerous and sort of the worst of both worlds, having a surge but not much of enough of a surge to really do anything.
Whatever happened in the notion of overwhelming force? You and I covered the first Gulf War. The U.S. deployed 500 million troops to liberate a small country like Kuwait, which the Iraqis had occupied. Colin Powell wanted to use that overwhelming force to get the job done quickly. In this particular case, Donald Rumsfeld wanted a leaner, meaner, if you will, military machine. Why not simply build up the U.S. presence to 300,000, 400,000 and see if he can resolve it once and for all? You hear that from some advocates.
Well, it worked back in '91 when you and I were both dealing with the first Gulf War, because it was a short, sharp war, a blitzkrieg-like war, and the ground aspect lasted just a few weeks. We are now in a war that's into its 4th year. This war in Iraq has gone on longer for the U.S. military than World War II did. So if you're going to have those type of troop numbers, 300,000 to 400,000, you would have to have a much, much bigger military. Basically, everybody in the U.S. Army and the U.S. Marine Corps is either in Iraq, getting ready to go to Iraq, or just back from Iraq. That's the life they live. I know guys who are coming back here and being home for only 10 months before they head back out again. That's their life for the last 3 years. So it's one thing to have 400,000 troops for 4 weeks. It's another thing to have 400,000 troops for 4 years. You would really have to change the size of our military to do that.
In other words, we can't do today what we could do 15 or 17 years ago, given the nature, the size of the Marine Corps and the Army. Let me get briefly into this, the shuffle of the command structure in Iraq. General Abizaid retiring, General Casey leaving to become the Army Chief of Staff. Critics are already saying, you know what, they're simply rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, that this isn't going to make a big difference. You know all these guys. What do you think?
I do. I know some of them pretty well. I wouldn't see it as a house cleaning, but I think it is significant for a couple of reasons. First, by promoting General Casey to be the Army Chief of Staff, for the first time, we'll have an Iraq veteran sitting on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And that's going to give him a very big voice in deliberations at the Pentagon and in talking to the President at the White House, both the current President and the next one. Also, by having an admiral take over Central Command from General Abizaid, that gives Army General Petraeus in Iraq a lot more running room. He's going to be the top Army dog out there in that fight. And so I think Petraeus is going to have a lot more maneuverability than, say, Casey had serving under another Army General, Abizaid. So it's going to be interesting in both those respects to see the role that Casey plays back in Washington and the larger role that Petraeus is being given in Iraq.
Tom Ricks writes for the Washington Post. He's written a brilliant book entitled Fiasco. If you haven't read it, and if you're interested in the war in Iraq, as you should be, you should read it. Tom, thanks very much for coming in.
You're welcome.
And coming up here in the Situation Room, with Democrats now in control on Capitol Hill, how will Republicans advance their agenda? I'll ask the new Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. He's standing by live. Plus, it's a change they say affects them personally. 9/11 families weigh in on the shakeup over at the National Intelligence Agency. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
This is the AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan card. You know what's great about this card? Wherever you go, nationwide, your coverage travels with you. And that's just one of the many reasons you need the card you can trust. Because with AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans, you can apply year-round, talk with personal health insurance advisors, and so much more. If you're turning 65 or older, or you've already enrolled in a Medicare supplement plan, call for this free information kit and Medicare guide. These are the only Medicare supplement insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP. These plans, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, help cover some of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare alone. This could save you thousands of dollars. Want your choice of doctors or hospitals, virtually no claim forms, and no referrals needed to see a specialist? Call for your free kit. Yep, this is one great card.
When I signed up for Vonage, I was able to keep my phone number, and then when I moved, I was able to take it with me.
Call quality is the utmost. It projects my business. And with Vonage, it's perfect.
Vonage and reliability, that just kind of goes hand in hand.
It's just $24.99 a month for unlimited local and long-distance calling. Vonage is a better way to phone for less.
Get 1 month free. Call 1-800-970-7034. Tonight, Intolerance in America. What's just below the surface? Paula Zahn brings everything out in the open. Tonight, 8 Eastern.
When work hurts, you need relief that fits the pain.
The Icy Hot Sleeve, joint hugging relief that starts icy to dull the pain, then gets hot to relax it away. The Icy Hot Sleeve.
Hard working relief that fits the pain.
When winter skin hits, I itch. When it's way beyond dry,
I itch.
Unlike ordinary lotions, Gold Bond moisturizes and medicates to soothe and relieve dry, itchy skin. Gold Bond medicated lotion, the moisturizing fix that medicates the itch.
So you were out sick yesterday? Yeah, I had a little throat thing. You were watching Blue's Clues, weren't you? Heard the mail time song like 8 times.
The Nick shows your kids are talking about, ready to watch anytime. On demand with Comcast Digital Cable. It's Comcasting.
Lacey Peterson's mom, Scott Peterson's defense attorney, and more. Larry King tonight.
Check back with Frederica Whitfield for a closer look at some other important stories making news. Fred?
Hello again, Wolf. Hourly wages grew at more than twice the rate of inflation in 2006. Year-end data just released by the Labor Department puts the average hourly wage in America at just more than $17, more than 4% higher than a year earlier. During the same period, inflation was about 2%. The report also shows much stronger than expected job growth in December, somewhat easing fears among some economists about a weakening economy. And just hours ago in Gaza City, a Palestinian cleric known as a vocal critic of Hamas was gunned down as he left a mosque after delivering a sermon. The slaying came as thousands of Palestinians marched through the streets of the city, bearing the bodies of 7 members of Fatah killed in a gunfight with Hamas supporters yesterday. There is no claim of responsibility for today's slaying. And does your pooch have a bit too much paunch? Well, help may be on the way for doggy dieters who just can't seem to lay off the biscuits. A short time ago, the FDA announced it has approved the first weight loss drug for dogs. It's called Slentrol, and it helps decrease appetite and fat absorption. Roughly 5% of American canines are said to be obese, and another 20 to 30% are overweight. I guess the long dog walk is just not good enough, Wolf.
They got to start exercising, watch what they eat.
It seems simple.
That's what happens when you eat too much and you just sit there. Thanks
Lay
very
off
much.
the biscuits.
All right, Fred, appreciate it. We're also getting some new pictures right now of a roof collapse at a stadium in downtown Vancouver. Our internet reporter, Abby Tatton, is standing by with some details. Abby?
Wolf, this is the inflated roof at BC Place Stadium in Vancouver. It seems to have deflated. Take a look at this picture. This is sent into CNN through iReport by Matthew Dorr. He's 29. He lives in a high-rise apartment building just across from this stadium. And take a look at it, what it should look like. This is the world's largest air-supported domed stadium. And this, as Matthew saw it earlier today, is what it looks like right now. Now, in the last 24 hours in Vancouver, there has been snow and rain. A statement at the website of BC Place Stadium says that beyond the bad weather, no direct cause has been determined at this stage. There have been no reported injuries. It should be noted that this is the planned site of the opening ceremonies of the 2010 Winter Olympics. Wolf.
Thank you very much for that update. Coming up, who might be out, who might soon be in? We're tracking the major shakeup in the Bush administration. In minutes, we'll take a closer look at some of the people involved. And he's an American man who was lost at sea for 3 days. We'll have the latest on what has now happened to him. Stay with us.
Here's a radically simple suggestion from eLoan. Spend too much money spreading the holiday cheer? Consolidate your debt with a home equity loan and pay one low monthly rate. Just call 1-800-TRY-ELOAN or go to eLoan.com. eLoan. Radically simple.
Here's what people are saying about OsteoBiflex, the #1 doctor-recommended joint care brand.
I'm 77 years old, and I work as a waitress, and if it weren't for OsteoBiflex, I just couldn't do it.
My doctor recommended I take OsteoBiflex, and it's great. It really works for me.
I'm amazed at the results I've seen from my patients taking OsteoBiflex. It works by helping to lubricate the joint, and it helps to maintain the cartilage.
OsteoBiflex has given me mobility. I wasn't getting that crunching, grinding sound in my joints.
Not only did it stop the discomfort and the stiffness, but it gave me full mobility again.
The glucosamine and chondroitin, as found in OsteoBiflex, actually lubricates and cushions your joints to provide free movement, mobility, and comfort.
OsteoBiflex has given me a whole new life.
For a $3 off coupon and more information on OsteoBiflex, go to osteobiflex.com right now. OsteoBiflex is available wherever quality vitamins and supplements are sold.
Tonight on 360, an unforgettable story of love and sacrifice. Letters to a baby boy written by his father, a soldier in Iraq, and read by his fiancée. 360 tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Special Investigations Unit. The whole story revealed. No compromise, no limits. Get ready. CNN Special Investigations Unit. Series premiere. Saturday, January 20th, only on CNN.
Right now, we'll give you top quality vitamins and supplements for just 89 cents. That's right, just 89 cents. These, essential for a healthy heart. These, for joint support. These, to help your memory. Or any of these. And not just any vitamins. They're from Puritan's Pride, the #1 direct-to-you vitamin manufacturer. Just 89 cents each when you call now for these special introductory coupons. How can we do it? We're the manufacturer. We make them with the highest quality ingredients. We sell them directly to you, and right now you can try them for just 89 cents. There's no obligation. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. Plus, call now and you'll get the complete Puritan's Pride discount catalog free. You'll also get a $10 off bonus coupon good for any of the 1,400 top quality products you'll find inside.
Call now for this special bonus, the Comprehensive Vitamins and Supplements to Live By Guide. Yours free. Call or go to PuritanTV.com right now.
To our viewers, you're in the Situation Room where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Happening now. A major shakeup over at the Pentagon, the National Intelligence Agency, and the State Department, all certain to impact the war in Iraq and the war on terror. We're going to show you who's in and who's out. Also, an urgent manhunt in East Africa for 5 top al-Qaeda operatives. We have brand new information coming in from our sources about the search and the fears that they may be planning new attacks. Plus, an American sailor on a solo voyage that almost cost him his life. He ran into a monster storm, was adrift for days, but now has finally been rescued. We're going to show you his dramatic story. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. We're now in that major shakeup in the Bush administration, including some big changes over at the Pentagon, only days before the big announcement of a new Iraq strategy. The Defense Secretary Robert Gates has announced that Admiral William Fallon, head of the U.S. military's Pacific Command, will replace General John Abizaid as head of the U.S. military Central Command, which oversees the wars in both Iraq and Afghanistan. And Lieutenant General David Petraeus will replace General George Casey as the chief commander of all U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq. For more now, let's go over to the Pentagon. CNN's Kathleen Koch has the latest. Kathleen?
Wolf, it's a clean slate. President Bush bringing in new faces to execute a new strategy.
They call him the Silver Fox. Admiral William Fallon, a surprise choice, will be the first Navy officer to serve as head of Central Command, replacing retiring General John Abizaid. Fallon is seen as a Pentagon troubleshooter, over the years dispatched to tough duties, always excelling. The Admiral's gotten high marks for his current job heading the massive Pacific Command and dealing with sensitive situations in China, Taiwan, and North Korea. Another plus, Fallon comes with a clean slate on Iraq.
I think the main thing that he will bring that is different is a completely fresh set of eyes. In other words, he has no investment in what has happened in the past in Iraq. And so he's going to approach this in a very realistic, clear-eyed manner, much as the new Defense Secretary has had to approach it.
Lieutenant General David Petraeus will be the new commander of U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq, taking the place of General John Casey, who becomes Army Chief of Staff. An Oxford graduate, Petraeus is known as a brilliant thinker, but the general is also described as a tough warrior, leading the 101st Airborne during the 2003 invasion of Iraq and overseeing its occupation of Mosul. On his watch, forces restored and maintained order there while the rest of the country was still struggling. Petraeus was later charged with leading the effort to train Iraqi security forces.
I think General Petraeus is absolutely the most qualified general officer we have to undertake a change of mission and strategy in Iraq. Irregular warfare is very different. There's not a lot of predictability, and there's a lot of uncertainty.
He has a tall task ahead of him, but he's the kind of soldier that will be able to take that on if he's giving the empowerment and resources to do so.
And many point out that's the key. Without a functional, well-thought-out plan for Iraq and the means to execute it, it'll be tough for these new commanders to make a difference, no matter how well qualified they are, Wolf.
Thanks very much, Kathleen Koch at the Pentagon. So what do some top lawmakers in the new Congress think of these proposed changes? Amid the power shift, Democrats and Republicans are openly pledging to try to work together, but there already are some rifts. Joining us now is the Senate's new minority leader, Senator Mitch McConnell. Senator McConnell, thanks very much for coming in.
Glad to be with you, Wolf.
Congratulations, by the way, on being named elected the top Republican in the U.S. Senate. I want to get to more on that shortly. But what do you make of this letter, first of all, that we got today from the top Democrats in the House and the Senate, Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, saying any so-called surge increase in U.S. troops is a bad idea and the president should not do it?
Well, look, the president is in charge of the tactics in the war. I think he knows that the Democrats basically would like to withdraw as rapidly as possible. There are many of the rest of us who think that the strategy ought to be to prevail. I, by the way, visited General Petraeus up in Mosul back in 2003. He's an outstanding choice. I think the president is correct as he changes directions here to get new personnel, as you've just described prior to my coming on this show. I think our goal still ought to be to prevail there. You know, to have a stable country that's an ally in the war on terror. And it's also important, Wolf, to remember that we haven't been attacked again here at home for 5 years. It's not an accident. Being on offense in Afghanistan and Iraq has made a positive difference in protecting America here at home.
Some of your Republican colleagues are increasingly beginning to express concern about the strategy in Iraq. Chuck Hagel the other day saying it's Alice in Wonderland. I'm absolutely opposed to sending any more troops to Iraq. It is folly. Last month, Senator Gordon Smith, Republican of Oregon, saying that the whole strategy seems to be absurd. It may even be criminal. I cannot support that anymore. How worried are you that the president's going to have a tough time getting support from his own Republican Party, especially in the Senate?
Well, the president enjoys support for this, as you know, from Senator Lieberman, a newly elected, re-elected Democrat in Connecticut.
Independent.
Well, he's caucusing with the Democrats. Look, I think there are going to be people on both sides who are not going to like this particular move. As for myself, I'm willing to support the president when he makes his announcement, if it's what I think it's going to be next week. I still think we ought to win there. I think we can win there. And as for myself, I'm willing to stick with the president on this policy.
The chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Joe Biden, was here in the Situation Room in the last hour. He's suggesting that based on his own gut, not on hard information, that top Bush administration officials, maybe even the vice president, have concluded that it's over. The U.S. has lost in Iraq. He also said this to me. Listen to this.
I believe the only thing that will ultimately change the president's mind, and that is to make a radical change in course, is if, in fact, he looks out there and sees that the bulk of the Republican senators no longer support his position. That's the political reality.
What do you think of what Senator Biden is saying?
Look, I just came from a meeting with the president this afternoon on this subject. I think the president believes that we can win in Iraq. I think he believes the strategy that he's going to be announcing next week is an essential component part of success there. And I think the majority of Republicans in the House and Senate are likely to stick with the president on this very important decision, withdrawing prematurely and taking the pressure off the terrorists and making it easier for them to attack us here at home. You know, is a place I'm not willing to go. There may be some members of our party in both the House and the Senate who have a different view, and I think that's been developing, frankly, over the last few years.
How many troops do you think the president is considering adding to the mix in Iraq?
Well, the president will make his own announcement next week, and that'll be the final word on what he intends to do.
You suspect that's going to be Wednesday night, as a lot of people are suggesting?
I'm sure they'll announce when that is, and I don't know the exact timing.
Talk a little bit about this. You and Harry Reid, he's the Democratic leader, the majority leader in the Senate. You've both been professing you want to work together, but given the nature of the differences, especially on Iraq, is that possible?
Look, we're getting off to a good bipartisan start. He and I are co-sponsoring a lobby reform bill that will come up next week. I think it'll pass the Senate overwhelmingly. He's indicated his willingness to compromise on a minimum wage proposal in a way that we find acceptable. I think we'll pass that overwhelmingly. We're going to see how far we can go in working together. And you know, Wolf, in the Senate, you have to do that. It takes 60 votes to do anything in the Senate. Harry's got 51. I've got 49. You can do the math. The situation requires that we work together, and I believe that we will. He and I like each other. We trust each other, and we're off to a good start.
So let me end by saying congratulations once again, Mitch McConnell. He's the Republican leader in the U.S. Senate. Appreciate your coming in.
Thank you, Wolf.
Appreciate it very much. And up ahead, what do relatives of some 9/11 victims think of the proposed changes in the nation's intelligence apparatus? Our Mary Snow has that report. And in our 7 p.m. Eastern hour, take a look at this. Some are calling them the kissing Congress. With a new female House Speaker, some members are doing away with handshakes and they're actually puckering up a little bit. Stay with us. Jeannie Mose will have that. That's coming up in our 7 p.m. Eastern hour.
The doctor said to me, Peggy, you don't understand. Pancreatic cancer is inoperable and incurable. And he says, well, Peggy, you've got 2 months to live. It was like he was telling me, go to the store. There was no compassion. You know, it was heartbreaking. My life was an hourglass. I was home, laying on the couch, just dying. My sister Pam called the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. When I got there, I knew that I was going to be cared for. I met with the doctor after the tests were done and said, how long do I have? And he looked at me and he said, Peggy, we did a lot of tests on you, and I never saw one thing stamped on the bottom of your foot that said you were going to die in 2 months. You have no expiration date. I thought, wow.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is unlike any other cancer hospital, full of hope, committed to your fight. We use every weapon: surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, nutrition, spiritual support, and mind-body medicine. We surround you with a real team, working together, all under one roof.
Each time I went back to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, I responded better. My tumors were shrinking. Came back in September again, and they still couldn't see anything. I said, you're kidding me. We'll see how it goes. We'll keep testing, but we can't see the tumors anymore.
Please call the number on your screen to speak with an oncology information specialist and receive a life-changing information kit and DVD packed with valuable information. Call now and learn about treatment options you may not even know exist.
It's really unbelievable how one doctor can tell me I have 2 months to live. And then I go to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America and they save my life. Hope is a mainstay. Hope is everything.
Don't give up. Your fight is our fight. Call Cancer Treatment Centers of America today.
All next week, a CNN exclusive. Soledad O'Brien reveals the papers of Martin Luther King, his deepest thoughts, his plans, his fears. The King Papers. All next week, American Morning, 6 Eastern.
Dish Network subscribers stand up and object. Court TV has been dropped. Dish Network subscribers don't stand for this injustice. Get Court TV by calling 1-800-710-1922.
Closed captioning provided by Activon. Apply directly where it hurts.
New from the makers of Head-On. Introducing Activon. Arthritis pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Arthritis. In stores now.
New developments concerning the global war on terror. Among the areas the war is being waged are in Iraq, Afghanistan, and in Africa, where al-Qaeda operatives are feared to be plotting. Our Pentagon correspondent Barbara Starr is in Nairobi with more.
An urgent manhunt is underway in East Africa to capture 5 top al-Qaeda operatives on the run from Somalia since the fall of the Islamic militia government. CNN has learned that U.S. and African intelligence services are closely cooperating in an effort to find the men before they slip away, with fear that they might plan new attacks. The U.S. especially wants these 2 men, Harun Fazul and Salih Ali Salah Naban, both said to be involved in the 1998 bombing of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. Authorities believe all 5 have ties to al-Qaeda attacks across East Africa. Escape routes from Somalia are being sealed off. U.S. intelligence sources believe the men may have been at a known al-Qaeda training camp on the Somali-Kenyan border. 2 U.S. Navy warships are now patrolling offshore, stopping and searching small boats. Kenya has sealed its northern border with Somalia. U.S. Navy SEALs have been just south of the border, helping train Kenyan forces. U.S. military sources deny claims that the SEALs are engaging in search operations. The top U.S. diplomat for Africa has been trying to muster an African peacekeeping force to help Somalia's new transitional federal government. Finding al-Qaeda is a priority.
We believe that it's extremely important, and we feel that the cooperation between the neighboring countries with the transitional federal government at the request of the transitional federal government is quite helpful in trying to prevent those terrorists from fleeing Somali territory into their neighbors.
All of this comes as Ayman al-Zawahiri, Osama bin Laden's deputy, has called for an Iraq-style insurgency inside Somalia. This memorial park now stands on the site of the former U.S. Embassy. The al-Qaeda bombing here killed hundreds and wounded thousands. Today, here in East Africa, the concern remains that unless Somalia is shut down as a terrorist safe haven, the threat of another attack remains very real. Barbara Starr, CNN, Nairobi.
Many relatives of 9/11 victims take a very personal interest in the fight against al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. So they're particularly interested in the nomination of retired U.S. Vice Admiral Mike McConnell to replace John Negroponte as the Director of National Intelligence. CNN's Mary Snow has been talking with some of them. Mary's joining us from New York. Mary?
Well, Wolf, retired Vice Admiral Mike McConnell was just named to be the nation's second national intelligence director, but already some are promising an unblinking critical eye on the job he does. For some Americans, President Bush's nomination of retired Vice Admiral Mike McConnell as Director of National Intelligence is not just one of keen interest, but a choice that affects them personally. Carrie Lamack is one such person. Her mother was killed in the September 11th attacks. Since then, she's kept close tabs on the DNI.
My first thought was, why did we create the DNI? It was to make sure that the gaps and the failures that led up to September 11th never happen again. And you need an institutional memory. You need somebody who's going to be making the tough decisions and who's going to stick with the job.
Former top spy John Negroponte was the first and only national intelligence director and held the job for only 20 months. Critics question how much could have been accomplished in that time. While some say the jury is out on the former top spy, they are applauding the experience of his nominated successor, retired Vice Admiral McConnell. McConnell served as director of the National Security Agency during the 1990s. And during the first Gulf War, he became a familiar face when he served as intelligence advisor to General Colin Powell, giving routine briefings on troop movements. Experts say this new post will require more than spy skills.
This is not a James Bond job. It's more of a Bill Gates job in terms of developing integrated systems across a wide number of agencies.
16 agencies to be exact. All agree McConnell is faced with threats that are ever-changing.
And what are we doing to stop Osama bin Laden, who has pledged to kill 4 million Americans with a nuclear bomb? What are we doing to stop him from getting one of those nuclear bombs?
Now, across the board, all agree that Vice Admiral McConnell faces monumental difficulties, and that includes the challenges posed by Iran and North Korea. Wolf?
Mary, thank you very much. Mary Snow's in New York. Up ahead, an American sailor trapped on a disabled boat hundreds of miles from shore. We're going to show you the dramatic rescue at sea at some are calling the bottom of the world. Plus, time running out for President Bush to turn around the Iraq War and possibly salvage his legacy in the process. Our special correspondent Frank Sesno is standing by with this story. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
What does it mean when we say no one can do what Countrywide can? It means if other lenders can't get it done, we can. It means we can offer home loans to get cash fast, to pay off credit cards or remodel a kitchen. It means as your life changes, our loans can change with you, to lower your payments or to help pay for college. It means with more good loans for more good reasons. No bank, no lender, no one can do what Countrywide can. Call us 1-800-CAN-DO-88.
Why aren't middle-class wages going up? Why does it take 2 incomes just to get by?
Lou Dobbs tonight. CNN coming up next.
It's time for Answer.
One word cannot describe him. A ring cannot contain him. He is a natural-born killer, driven by a relentless rage from within. Every match, a new level of confidence and power. Every victory, one step closer to the ultimate prize. Retribution will be paid in full. Joe is going to kill you. TNA Final Resolution, live January 14th on In Demand Pay-Per-View.
Cold
sores are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face.
Want them gone fast? Get Herpecin L. Unlike other treatments, it helps heal lips fast, soothes skin, and protects lips. Herpecin L.
Just put on a happy face.
America's changing shape with Dexatrim Max 2.0, now in 2 delicious new flavors.
Gives me and my water a boost.
Size 8, here I come. Helps curb cravings. A healthy way to max out your weight loss. Dexatrim Max 2.0. Max out your water.
See what a blue man does to a rock show. How to be a megastar tour. Blue Man Group hits the stage with their electrifying arena rock show.
Rock concert movement #1.
Comcast welcomes Blue Man Group live.
Here are your instructions.
Saturday, February 3rd, Memorial Coliseum. Tickets on sale now through ComcastTix.com. Don't miss Blue Man Group for one night only.
Flight 800 could happen again. Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
Lou Dobbs getting ready for his program that begins in a few minutes, right at the top of the hour. He's standing by to tell us what he's working on. Lou?
Hey, Wolf, thank you. Coming up at 6 tonight, 6 Eastern, we'll be reporting on the Democrats' bold beginning in the new Congress and the battle to roll back corporate and special interests. The House has passed ethics reform. Can the Democrats maintain the momentum? We'll have a special report. Also, Reverend Jesse Jackson will be joining us here tonight. He's proposing a new deal for working men and women in our cities, a new plan to create jobs and to give children a good education. He's joining us here tonight. Outrage after a community in Minnesota withdraws from a federal program to tackle our illegal immigration and border security crisis. This case is being watched by communities all across the nation. We'll have that report, all of that, and the day's news coming up at the top of the hour. Please join us. Wolf, back to you.
A solid hour coming up. Thanks, Lou, very much. There are new developments in the story we first told you about yesterday. A sailor from Southern California adrift in a disabled boat off the coast of Chile. Early this morning, a fishing boat reached Ken Barnes. He has a leg injury, but is otherwise in good condition. Abby Tatton has been following the story online, and she's joining us now with more. Abby?
Wolf, there's been a site that's followed this journey from the years of planning beforehand to now the rescue pictures. This is kensolo.com, updated throughout the day today by friends of this round-the-world sailor who is now headed home. Pictures of the Chilean Navy who were working in conjunction with a private fishing vessel who reached Ken Barnes on his 44-foot yacht early this morning. That's the yacht before the trip was started, and this is what it looks like now. Both masts were snapped in that storm, and he's been drifting since Tuesday. There was another boat in the vicinity. Donna Lang is another solo sailor who was making a round-the-world trip. She's been texting updates to her site. She was traveling in this direction, unable to get to Barnes's location because of the weather. Ken Barnes again now headed home. Wolf?
That's good news for a lot of good people. Thanks very much for that. Let's check back with Jack Cafferty. He's got the Cafferty file. Jack?
Wolf, the question this hour is how will the shakeup of President Bush's military team affect the war in Iraq? Steve writes from Wisconsin, a shakeup at this time can only make things worse. It reinforces the concept that President Bush surrounds himself only with those who hold the same views as himself. That's precisely why the other people are now gone. They didn't tell him what he wanted to hear. More troops. Invade Iran. You're the best president ever. Kathy in Tucson, Arizona, the shakeup of President Bush's new military team will not have any effect on the war in Iraq. This just means that there are new yes men in place to support our incompetent and misguided management of the war. It also means that it'll take about 6 more months for this new team to come to the conclusion that their predecessors have already come to. Iraq is lost. This next letter is interesting. Chris in North Carolina. Jack, it's not as ridiculous as you think. My guess is the Navy is going to become much more involved in our war on terror. Watch and see if this isn't positioning for an attack on Iran, with 2 aircraft carrier groups already in the Gulf and an admiral now in charge at CENTCOM. The writing's on the wall. All you have to do is read it. Jared in Florida writes, we won't really know if anything's going to change until the Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Armed Forces gives his orders. Generals don't make the decisions, the President does. Let's wait and see first, instead of writing off our President before he even opens his mouth and gives his new plans. After that, make whatever judgments you want. And James in Arizona, Jack, Bush's shakeup of generals will have no effect on the Iraqi freedom debacle. The war is between Sunnis and Shiites. And last time anyone looked, none of them answer to the American brass. It's like shaking up the Jenkins and the Smiths in order to stop the Hatfields and the McCoys. If you didn't see your email here, you can go to cnn.com/Cafferty file. You think as many times as I read that I could remember. And you can read more of these online.
And it's a good file indeed, Jack. Thanks very much. We'll do it again in an hour. Up next, when it comes to salvaging Iraq, is this President Bush's last chance? Stay with us. You're in the Situation.
The 2007 Chevy Tahoe. It has an available 320 horsepower. With the best fuel efficiency in its class. Tahoe, the power to give something back. That's an American revolution.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare Supplement plans, so I could understand it all. After I called, I was able to choose the plan that was right for me.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you from paying thousands of dollars out of your own pocket. These are the only Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit with all you need to enroll, so you can join the millions of people who've already trusted us. Plus, we'll send you this free guide to understanding Medicare.
The prices are competitive. I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call now to get the free information kit. Plus, we'll include this free Medicare guide. And the advantages don't end there. You can choose from a wide range of plans that are all competitively priced, so you can find a plan that best fits your needs and budget. There are virtually no claim forms to fill out. And best of all, they're the only Medicare supplement plans endorsed by AARP.
When they told me these plans were endorsed by AARP,
I had only one thing to say. Sign me up.
Call now, 1-800-495-9137, and let us help you choose the right plan. So call now, 1-800-495-9137, and find out about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting for your call.
Monday night at 10, a special AC 360. CNN reports from South Africa as Oprah Winfrey realizes a dream. CNN's Anderson Cooper and Jeff Koinange talk to Oprah in an unforgettable hour. Monday night at 10.
More than anything, the war in Iraq has certainly come to define the Bush presidency, but is the president running out of time? Our special correspondent Frank Sesno is here in the Situation Room, and he has some thoughts. Frank?
Well, it certainly was brought home today, wasn't it? As you watched the Democrats yesterday all talking about bipartisanship and smiles, today saying, no, Mr. President, the surge won't work, a preemptive strike, as you called it earlier. The clock is ticking, Wolf.
There have been storm clouds before. A few years ago, when things were looking bleak, this president rebounded. They called him the comeback kid. Now time is running out for this president. And at this point, George W. Bush may be the last chance kid, facing a last chance to shape policy at home and abroad. He's not talking that way, of course.
Together we have important things to do.
And he wrote in the Wall Street Journal there's plenty of time, fully a quarter of his presidency left. In Congress, the new House Speaker accepted the gavel.
In the spirit of partnership, not partisanship.
But no one in this town thinks that'll last very long. And nowhere is the last chance more important than in Iraq. The focus is on troop strength. Up, down, by how much? But the real issue, military experts say, is not how many, but toward what end. What will they do? And what else is happening? So the White House is positioning the president's pending Iraq initiative in the broadest terms. It will be strategic, they say, not just about a troop surge, a term they hate.
There'll be new leadership, a new general in charge in Iraq, a new admiral at CENTCOM, and a new ambassador in Baghdad. The president also wants hard decisions and hard commitments from the Iraqis. A nearly 2-hour video conference call with the prime minister just yesterday. A last chance. Because they can talk partnership all they want, but the political tide is coming in fast. The new Congress, an anxious public, and presidential politics already at warp speed. The last chance kid loves sports, and he has his eye on the game clock. Eye on the game clock, Wolf. But you know what? The president's aides say a couple things. First of all, there will be no U-turns. They don't want to talk about surge, and they don't want to focus on the military because they don't believe that it's either credible or actually correct to say that the solution is a military solution. It's got to be bigger than that. But also that his fundamental beliefs, he's standing by Iraq, and he's not going to abandon Maliki and the Iraqis.
Almost the comeback kid. Remember, we used to have Bill Clinton named that the last chance kid.
Well, I just think that the time, and you and I have seen this, he's got 6 months. 6 months from now, the presidential campaign in full flower. He's already had some defections among his Republicans. His wiggle room here is very narrow in terms of the Washington you and I both know and love.
All right, thanks very much, Frank. Good thoughts from you. Remember, we're in the Situation Room weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. We're back in 1 hour at 7 p.m. Eastern. Much more coming up. Until then, thanks very much for joining us. I'm Wolf Blitzer in Washington. Lou Dobbs Tonight starts right now. Lou?
Well, thank you. Tonight, President Bush replacing the generals responsible for fighting the insurgency in Iraq, days before he is to announce a new strategy for the conduct of this war. We'll have live reports for you tonight from the White House, the Pentagon, and Capitol Hill. And the Democrats make a bold beginning in their battle to roll back corporate and special interest in Washington. Will they succeed? We'll have that special report. 3 of the country's best political minds join us. All of that and a great deal more straight ahead here tonight.
This is Lou Dobbs Tonight. News, debate, and opinion for Friday, January 5th. Live in New York, Lou Dobbs.
Good evening, everybody. The White House today announced a shakeup of the military commanders responsible for fighting the war in Iraq. The commander of all U.S. forces in the Middle East, General John Abizaid, will retire. The commander of our troops in Iraq, General George Casey, becomes Army Chief of Staff. Those announcements came as President Bush prepared to announce a new military strategy. President Bush is considering sending between 20 and 40,000 additional troops to Iraq. Ed Henry tonight reports from the White House on the president's changing strategy for the war in Iraq. Kathleen Koch reports from the Pentagon on the new commanders who will take responsibility for success in this war. Dana Bash reports from Capitol Hill on the Democrats' opposition to any troop increase in Iraq. We turn first to Ed Henry at the White House. Ed?
Lou, the president plans to reveal his latest Iraq strategy next week in a primetime address to the nation, expected to be Wednesday, though it could slip to Thursday based on how the final details are worked out. As you noted, the president leading towards a surge in the neighborhood of 20 to 40,000 more U.S. troops, though we're told it's likely to be at the lower end, more towards 20,000 U.S. troops. In advance of that speech, the commander-in-chief has now finished a complete overhaul of the command structure of the war in Iraq. Of course, as you know, Donald Rumsfeld pushed out the day after the election results, replaced by Robert Gates. Then today, as you know, the White House spokesman Tony Snow confirming that, in fact, General John Abizaid, Central Commander, has been replaced by Admiral William Fallon. Also, General George Casey, the lead U.S. commander on the ground in Iraq, will be replaced by Lieutenant General David Petraeus. Also, as you noted, Casey, though, will stay on an elevation of sorts to Army Chief of Staff. Now, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid charged today that the president is pushing out generals who are privately opposed to a surge in U.S. troops, and that the president only wants people around him who will be yes men, essentially. That was sharply rejected by the White House spokesman, Tony Snow.
That's inaccurate. It's just flat inaccurate. General Casey is now going to be the chairman. He's going to be the Army chief, the Chief of Staff for the United States Army. General Abizaid is somebody whose counsel we will continue to value and will listen to.
Now, Snow added the president wanted to get these changes done now so that the president could get the new players in place to implement this new policy that will be unveiled next week. That's why the president today also made official what we already knew, that John Negroponte, leaving the office of Director of National Intelligence, moving over to be number 2 at the State Department. He will be replaced now. The president officially nominating retired Vice Admiral Michael McConnell to replace Negroponte. Lou?
Ed, thank you. Ed Henry from the White House. The president is nominating Admiral William Fallon to replace General Abizaid. It is an unexpected appointment, as Admiral Fallon has no direct experience in the war in Iraq. Admiral Fallon will undoubtedly rely heavily on the advice of the new commander of U.S. troops in Iraq, General David Petraeus. Kathleen Koch has the report from the Pentagon.
They call him the Silver Fox. Admiral William Fallon, a surprise choice, will be the first Navy officer to serve as head of Central Command, replacing retiring General John Abizaid. Fallon is seen as a Pentagon troubleshooter, over the years dispatched to tough duties, always excelling.
He is, hands down, the best operational commander we have in terms of a combatant commander. And he's probably been the best in many years. Smart, tough-minded, fearless, imaginative.
The Admiral's gotten high marks for his current job heading the massive Pacific Command and dealing with sensitive situations in China, Taiwan, and North Korea. Another plus, Fallon comes with a clean slate on Iraq.
I think the main thing that he will bring that is different is a completely fresh set of eyes. In other words, he has no investment in what has happened in the past in Iraq. And so he's going to approach this in a very realistic, clear-eyed manner, much as the new Defense Secretary has had to approach it.
Lieutenant General David Petraeus will be the new commander of U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq, taking the place of General John Casey, who becomes Army Chief of Staff. An Oxford graduate, Petraeus is known as a brilliant thinker, but the general is also described as a tough warrior, leading the 101st Airborne during the 2003 invasion of Iraq and overseeing its occupation of Mosul. On his watch, forces restored and maintained order there while the rest of the country was still struggling. Petraeus was later charged with leading the effort to train Iraqi security forces.
I think General Petraeus is absolutely the most qualified general officer we have to undertake a change of mission strategy in Iraq. Irregular warfare is very different. There's not a lot of predictability, and there's a lot of uncertainty.
He has a tall task ahead of him, but he's the kind of soldier that will be able to take that on if he's giving the empowerment and resources to do so.
And many point out that's key. Without a functional, well-thought-out plan for Iraq and the means to execute it, it'll be very tough for the new commanders to make a difference no matter what their qualifications. Lou?
Kathleen, thank you very much. Kathleen Koch from the Pentagon. The new Democratic leadership in Congress is already declaring its opposition to any troop buildup in Iraq. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, saying the idea of sending reinforcements to Iraq has already been tried and it's already failed. Some Republican lawmakers also oppose and question any so-called surge of troops. Dana Bash reports from Capitol Hill.
On the question of the day, the new House Speaker had a simple answer.
Do you support a surge in U.S. troops in Iraq?
Day 2 in power, Nancy Pelosi joined the new Democratic Senate Majority Leader, warning the president in this blunt letter not to raise troop levels in Iraq. They called surging troops a serious mistake and a strategy that you have already tried and that has already failed.
The surge is a bad idea. The president has said he was going to listen to his commanders. If he's listening to his commanders, he can't do this. I know he's shuffling some in and out, obviously, because they're not telling him what he wants to hear.
The Democrats told Mr. Bush his urgent focus should be on troop withdrawal starting in 4 to 6 months. A clear reminder the White House war strategy will now face heightened scrutiny in Congress. Not just from Democrats. Republican Senator and likely presidential candidate John McCain warned reported plans of a temporary surge of about 20,000 troops won't work because it's not enough.
It has to be significant and sustained. Otherwise, do not do it. Otherwise, there will be more needless loss of American lives.
McCain favors committing 35,000 additional troops, and even then,
there is no guarantee for success in Iraq. From everything I witnessed on my most recent visit, I believe that success is still possible, but it will be very difficult.
Senator Joe Lieberman won re-election as an independent after losing his primary to an anti-war Democrat. He supports a troop surge, too, and said the president should ignore demands from the new Democratic leadership.
I think this is a time for the president to be president and Congress to respect that part of the authority of the commander-in-chief, and all hope that it works.
Senators from both parties did get a chance to directly ask the president questions about his Iraq policy at a meeting at the White House today. Lou, I spoke with a couple of senators who were at that meeting. Both said that there was skepticism and concern coming not just from Democrats but from Republicans. One senator said that they made clear it was a, quote, big ask to ask the president, and more specifically to ask these senators' constituents to send more troops into Iraq, and made clear to the president that if he does that, he's going to have to explain it very carefully and with a lot of detail. Lou.
Dana, Senator Harry Reid committed, along with Nancy Pelosi, to bipartisanship. There was to be a honeymoon. I suppose that ended today when he accused the president of making these changes simply to provide yes men around him. An extraordinary charge from the Senate leader who had declared partnership in all of this.
You know, I interviewed Harry Reid a couple of weeks ago in his hometown of Searchlight, Nevada, and he said that on the one hand he was going to try to be as open and cooperate with the president as much as he could, but he also said that he's going to be as candid as he possibly could when it comes to big issues, including Iraq. And Lou, that's what we saw today.
Candor is one thing. That was a clear shot, wasn't it?
It was a clear shot, and he's a man who is known to say what he means, and today he definitely did that. When it comes to Iraq, Lou, no matter what anybody says in terms of bipartisanship, we are going to see a serious discussion, a serious debate, and probably even a policy fight that's just beginning here on Capitol Hill and across all the way down Pennsylvania Avenue. No question about it.
4 years almost since its beginning. Perhaps some would say, and perhaps accurately, it is past time. Dana Bash, thank you. The Bush administration doing everything possible to avoid creating the impression that any troop buildup in Iraq would be permanent. Those efforts even extend to the language the administration has crafted to describe such actions. That's why officials are using terms like troop surge. Bill Snyder reports.
The first official use of the S word came when the new defense secretary went to Iraq last month.
We've discussed the possibility of a surge and the potential for what it might accomplish.
The same day, President Bush was asked if he supports a surge in the number of U.S. troops in Iraq.
It's interested in the Iraqis' point of view, and then I'll report back to you as to whether or not I support a surge or not. Nice try.
Why surge? Why not escalate? Because surge sounds temporary. Waves surge and decline. Escalation sounds long-term. President Lyndon Johnson escalated the deployment of U.S. troops to Vietnam in 1965. That war did not end for another 10 years. Whatever you call it, sending more troops would provoke a political firestorm.
I'm afraid that in many instances we are only sending targets and not troops.
Only 11% of Americans favor sending more troops. A majority wants to withdraw U.S. troops, either immediately or within a year. President Bush said,
there's got to be a specific mission that can be accomplished with the addition of more troops before, I agree on that strategy.
Two military strategists defined that mission this way. Bringing security to Baghdad, the essential precondition for political compromise, national reconciliation, and economic development, is possible only with a surge of at least 30,000 combat troops lasting 18 months or so. The surge must come from the Iraqis, too, a point the president says he made to the Iraqi prime minister.
I said that you show the will, we will help you.
A State Department official has been quoted as saying, instead of a surge, it is a bump. Well, to quote the president, nice try. Lou?
Yeah, I would argue with you, Bill. I don't think that's a particularly nice try. I probably would argue with the president as well. These are silly word games at a time when we have men and women in uniform being wounded and killed. Is it fair to say, if we may extricate ourselves from the games that are often played there, no matter how serious the issues around the world facing our men and women in uniform. Is it fair to say that it's a time for honesty and straightforward discussion of these issues and less of this nonsense and artificial language?
Yes, lives are at stake. The future of Iraq, the credibility of the United States, there are enormous stakes here in this policy. And no one has an easy answer. That's the problem. Politics is filled with easy answers. And I think the message of the Iraq Study Group was there are no easy answers to this problem.
Bill Snyder, thank you very much. Bill Snyder from Washington. Coming up here next, congressional Democrats introduce bold new measures trying to roll back the awesome influence of corporate American special interests. We'll have that report and a political showdown over one community's refusal to work with the federal government to tackle illegal immigration and our border security crisis. We'll have that report here next. Stay with us.
The all-new BMW X5. With room for 7, we've expanded on a great idea.
Right now, we'll give you top quality vitamins and supplements for just 89 cents. That's right, just 89 cents. These, essential for a healthy heart. These, for joint support. These, to help your memory. Or any of these. And not just any vitamins. They're from Puritan's Pride, the #1 direct-to-you vitamin manufacturer. Just 89 cents each when you call now for these special introductory coupons. How can we do it? We're the manufacturer. We make them with the highest quality ingredients. We sell them directly to you, and right now you can try them for just 89 cents. There's no obligation. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. Plus, call now and you'll get the complete Puritan's Pride discount catalog free. You'll also get a $10 off bonus coupon good for any of the 1,400 top quality products you'll find inside.
Call now for this special bonus, the Comprehensive Vitamins and Supplements to Live By Guide. Yours free. Call or go to PuritanTV.com right now.
Between my two phone bills, it's probably about $60 a month.
About $150.
Probably $100 a month.
With Vonage, you get unlimited calls to anywhere in the U.S. and Canada, and all the cool features you could ever want are included. And it's just $24.99 a month.
Call 1-800-971-4510 and get your first month of Vonage service free. That's a value of $24.99. Vonage, the better way to phone for less.
One Midwestern city is bucking what is a national trend that has seen local communities fighting illegal immigration. Law enforcement in St. Paul, Minnesota says no more borders from immigration and customs enforcement. Lawmakers there moving to declare St. Paul a sanctuary city, just like its twin city, Minneapolis. Bill Tucker reports.
Ramsey County, Minnesota doesn't want any more detainees from immigration and customs enforcement. That despite the fact that the contract with ICE is worth almost $2 million a year. For the sheriff and the county commissioner pushing for ending their contract, it's not a money issue, it is a moral issue and what they call an inhuman immigration system.
The issue is more that people come here for the dignity of work. We need to treat them with human dignity. We need to address this issue. It does impact not only these families, it impacts all our families in our small towns and cities and in the state of Minnesota.
While Commissioner Ortega is admittedly opposed to the jailing of illegal aliens on moral grounds, he also opposes them on a practical basis, saying his county jails are full and that by his estimation there are currently 5 or 6 ICE detainees who have been held for more than 200 days, denying them speedy due process. The move by St. Paul to declare itself a sanctuary city, like its twin city Minneapolis, disturbs the state's governor.
It also underscores how flippant large segments of our society have become about illegal immigration. It's kind of a so what kind of attitude. We are built as a nation of laws, and if people get to pick and choose off a la carte menu as to which laws they want to follow and which ones they don't, it can lead to disorder, and it can undermine the very pillars and foundations of our rule of law society.
Even as St. Paul and Ramsey County are reviewing their options, other neighboring counties have existing relationships with ICE and are happy with the arrangements. Now, ICE responds to the question of the lengthy extended stays by saying that the small number of detainees being held are themselves complicating their removal process. They file multiple appeals, and they refuse to fill out forms needed to allow their return to their home country. Lou, ICE says it is committed to providing due process to all of these detainees.
Well, they may be, but 200 days seems extraordinary. Certainly ICE and the U.S. Justice Department, the federal government could figure out something that would make more sense than that.
Well, part of the problem is they can't return these detainees to their home countries unless they fill out the forms. And in many of these cases, they're refusing to fill them out or fill them out partially. They'd be there a lot longer.
Well, that's idiotic because they'll be there for much longer than 200 days. So,
exactly. Well, I guess they don't
we
really
often say on this program that Vicente Fox and now Felipe Calderon are in charge of U.S. immigration policy. It turns out the detainees are. I mean, that's silly beyond belief. The idea. Does anyone in St. Paul, the good councilman, Ortega, the good sheriff, do they care about the fact they're violating federal law by creating a sanctuary?
No, they don't. And in fact, Governor Pawlenty has moved to try and declare sanctuary policy illegal in the state of Minnesota.
Well, it's a federal law
and
now.
I pointed that out to him as well. I said, you know, it's against federal law as well. And he said, but I'm trying to drive the point home with these cities. And unfortunately, it's not getting there.
You know, we laugh when we cross the penumbra of the absurd, and this is an absurdity. The arrogance of that councilman to decide he understands the moral basis of what is law in this country. He's only violating probably 4 or 5 laws by taking the position. Would violate 4 to 5 laws by taking the position he has, should he succeed. Bill Tucker, thank you very much. The nation's immigration agency tonight is unprepared, lacks the resources to handle millions of applications for legal residency. That is exactly what I pointed out when the Senate passed the so-called Comprehensive Immigration Reform Act that would add, about 20 million more immigrants into the system. A new report by the very Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security says the Customs and Immigration Service has failed to modernize its computer systems. Millions of cases are still being handled by pen and paper, among other issues at that dysfunctional agency within that dysfunctional department. The development of a new nationwide computer network, it's been halted because the agency lacks the $72 million required to pay for it. 14 immigration offices have lost more than 111,000 files. No problem. They've gone ahead and passed them along anyway and approved their citizenship applications. A new visa program dropped because of, yes, cost and timing problems, they say, and it's going to get worse. Proposed amnesty legislation that is expected to add millions of new applicants to the system will break what is already broken.
It would be absolutely irresponsible of Congress to pass any law that increases the workload of this agency before these fundamental problems are addressed, because it will increase the illegal immigrant flow.
Well, there are a lot of problems here, and even the Citizenship and Immigration Service now finally admitting it. Yes, it does have something of a problem. In a statement, Deputy Director John Charfin says, "We acknowledge that we still have a great deal to do." By the way, this is the agency providing incentives for their employees to expedite these applications and overcome the hundreds of thousands of cases of backlog. Armed gunmen approached a Border Patrol observation post in Arizona manned by National Guard troops, and in line with their policy, those National Guard troops withdrew. The incident took place Wednesday night along a stretch of the Arizona-Mexico border that's known as a drug smuggling route. Mike Watkus of our affiliate KTVK in Fresno Park, Arizona, reports.
Well, last night, a group of armed individuals approached an entry identification team, which is a National Guard observation post, basically.
They have become a familiar sight along the border in recent months. National Guard personnel making up what's known as an entry identification team, or EIT, positioned along the international line looking for illegal crossers. And according to a spokesman with the Border Patrol, last night just such a team was confronted by a group of armed individuals.
At this time, the situation is still under investigation. We don't have a positive identification on these individuals or what their intent or purpose was.
The National Guard, of course, deployed along the border last year to serve primarily as lookouts. And according to one source, last night the Guard personnel in question were, quote, briefly overtaken and then retreated from their armed assailants without a shot being fired. The Guard personnel then called in the Border Patrol for help. A response team, including aircraft, was then dispatched to the scene, but by the time they got there, the armed bad guys had disappeared into the night.
To date, there haven't been any similar incidents of this nature concerning the National Guard. We have had armed encounters before, of course, with the Border Patrol. It's something we're used to here in the Tucson sector.
This is another reminder, this is dangerous work.
It is very dangerous work. The National Guard, they're prepared to defend themselves, and they're well trained to do this mission.
That's Mike Watkis reporting from our affiliate KDVK in Fresno Park, Arizona. One has to wonder just how dangerous it is if they have orders to retreat whenever armed gunmen advance. It doesn't sound particularly dangerous to me, nor does it seem to make much sense at all, but that's just my opinion. Our poll question tonight is, do you support a policy of withdrawal and retreat when our National Guardsmen are confronted with Mexican gunmen advancing across the border? Yes or no? Cast your vote at Dobbs.com. We'll have the results here later in the broadcast. State government officials in Mexico tonight are proposing a new plan to help those illegal aliens cross into the country. Those government officials in Mexico may well give illegal aliens GPS locators. Supporters of the idea say the locators would help illegal immigrants call for help should they become lost while illegally crossing the U.S. border. What those supporters don't say is that those locators could, of course, also help the illegal aliens evade U.S. Border Patrol agents and even the National Guard troops when they are in position on the border. And illegals crossing the border today received a vote of support from a movie star, Sylvester Stallone. Rocky 7 or 8, whatever it is he's in. In Mexico, he's there promoting his latest movie, Rocky Balboa. Now, this actor had the courage to stand in the heart of Mexico and scream out his support for Mexican illegal aliens, saying he supports Mexicans that work in the United States. He also said the idea of a border fence was crazy and ridiculous. More courage from Rocky Balboa as he panders to his Mexican audience. Coming up next, House Democrats moving fast and tackling ethics right out of the gate. We'll have a report on the new rules of the game in D.C. The Democrats off to a good start. The Reverend Jesse Jackson says it's time for Congress to push for a change in urban policy. He'll be here with us to discuss that and the hunt for radical Islamist terrorists intensifying in East Africa. We'll have a special report for you tonight from Nairobi. Stay with us.
Tonight, intolerance in America. What's just below the surface? Paul Azan brings everything out in the open. Tonight, 8 Eastern. The #1 album in America. The #1 show in Las Vegas. The #1 adult contemporary artist of all time. Now coming live to Portland, January 8th, on stage at the Rose Garden. Tickets on sale at ComcastTix.com or by calling 877-789-ROSE. A special benefit for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Barry Manilow, an evening of music and passion.
We're the Puckheads.
The Puckheads.
We're hardcore and we will not miss a game. But the only way we can see our favorite team is to go city to city and catch all the action.
All the action. Thanks, Buck.
Yeah, we're not like those fair weather hockey fans who've got some kind of fancy schmancy NHL center ice package so they can watch all the action at home.
All the action. At home?
NHL Center Ice. Catch a free preview January 8th through the 14th. Every game's a home game on digital cable.
I thought you said the van was home.
Mom, Scott Peterson's defense attorney, and more. Larry King tonight.
Head On. Apply directly to...
Head On. Apply directly to the forehead. Head On. Apply... Head On. I hate your commercial, but I love your product.
Head On is available without a prescription. New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Back pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Backache. In stores now. New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Arthritis pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Arthritis. In stores now.
Starting a new garden doesn't have to be backbreaking. Not when you have the Mantis Tiller Cultivator. It does all the hard work for you. The powerful two-cycle engine spins the patented tines deep into the soil. It cuts through the hardest clay and tangled weeds, yet maneuvers nimbly through the tightest spaces. Now get this amazing Mantis at huge factory direct savings. Plus, we'll give you this border edger free. Call now for complete information.
1-800-335-9236.
As they promised, congressional Democrats are taking aim at the cozy relationship between lawmakers and lobbyists. Public disgust with corruption on Capitol Hill prompting today's tightening of ethics rules, but whether it's enough to keep members from being bought and sold is still in question. Lisa Sylvester reports.
Kentucky Congressman Hal Rogers and his wife spent a week in Kona, Hawaii last January. Airport executives picked up the $7,000 tab. They also paid for his visits to Dublin, Ireland, and San Francisco. Under newly adopted House ethics rules that passed 430 to 1, lobbying groups can no longer pay for such trips, meals, and entertainment.
When the Speaker's gavel comes down, it intends to open the People's House, not the auction house.
In the opening hours of the new congressional session, House Democrats have kept a pledge to clean up the swamp of corruption in Washington. House lawmakers are banned from flying on corporate jets at reduced prices. Congressional travel financed by outside groups must be approved in advance and immediately disclosed. November's election spurred the House to take quick action, voters demanding change after a string of lobbying scandals.
Today, we sever the links between those who would buy influence on Capitol Hill and those who would willingly sell it.
Public watchdog groups are now pressing Congress to create an independent enforcement office to hold lawmakers to the new standards. They also say pensions of convicted lawmakers should be taken away. But overall, they are praising the new rules.
What the new rules do in the end is challenge the culture of entitlement on Capitol Hill, whereby members had become used to having their lifestyles paid for by lobbyists and other influence seekers.
Congress for so long has operated on a pay-to-play system where those with the deepest pockets have the loudest voice. That could now be changing.
The Senate is expected to take up a similar ethics package Monday. Now, the one House member who voted against the ethics rules was Representative Dan Burton because he claims it does not go far enough. However, Burton, like many other members of Congress, has gone on a few junkets, including a week-long visit to Taiwan with his wife last fall that cost $15,000, paid for, Lou, by business interests. Lou?
A business interest. Well, $2 billion spent by lobbyists in Washington, D.C., and I think just about everyone would agree that they have certainly made a good investment over the past decade. The idea that this could be ending is something to rejoice. Now we'll see what the Democrats do in the Senate, and hopefully we'll be able to test it all with a decision on whether the president would sign such legislation.
We also have to make sure that they enforce these new rules as well, Lou.
There is that issue in this country right now. We have a lot of laws, a lot of them not being enforced. We'll watch and see. We can do that part, our part, anyway, right, Lisa?
Absolutely, Lou.
Thank you. Lisa Sylvester. Time now for some of your thoughts. Jeffrey in Texas said, I'll be personally delivering a box of rocks to the doorstep of my local Chamber of Commerce here in Mansfield, Texas this morning. I'll be attaching a note printed in an extra large font, which displays an American flag and Tom Donahue's comment, referring to Tom Donahue, the head of the the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the business lobbying group, saying anyone who supports a guest worker program is dumb as a box of rocks. People apparently didn't like that comment. Elliot in Utah, anyone who thinks the middle class is going to sit around and let Congress and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce allow illegal immigrant amnesty legislation to pass is dumb as a box of rocks. Andy in Washington, hey Lou, instead of swearing in our legislators by having them place their hand on a Bible, or as one of your viewers suggested, on the Constitution, why not have them place their hand in a steaming pile of bull manure, since that's all we get from them anyway? That's an intriguing suggestion. I still prefer that hand on the Constitution of the United States, but we appreciate the thought nonetheless. Send us your thoughts to LouDobbs.com. Each of you whose email is read here receives a copy of my book, War on the Middle Class. Up next here, one of the country's leading black leaders demanding Congress focus on urban policy. And three of the country's smartest political analysts join me to discuss the change of course in Iraq. Is it a change of course? And the days and weeks political developments. Stay with us.
There's the week, there's the weekend, and then there's the weekender.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the subscription from the New York Times, I love it.
Like your whole weekend's just started. It's come a little early.
So the deal is you call the 1-800 number, and then you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $3.25, which is half off, which is pretty crazy.
So you get the Friday paper, and boom, you're right into the weekend.
Saturday. The word alone makes me happy. I love to sort of pull everything out of the Sunday paper.
Travel section.
Magazine.
Weekend review.
The international news.
The book review.
I got these really great boots after reading the Sunday style section.
All I did was call the 1-800 number.
I'm not one of those call now people.
Call!
You should call now.
I love to have the New York Times delivered.
Who doesn't like to save money?
Call now because it's a great deal.
That's like having a table of contents for everything in the world.
I mean, how much would you give for that?
The Weekender subscription from the New York Times. Get it now for as low as $3.25 a week. Call 1-800-727-7464.
Who doesn't like to start the weekend a day early?
Tonight on 360, an unforgettable story of love and sacrifice. Letters to a baby boy written by his father, a soldier in Iraq, and read by his fiancée. 360 tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
I'm here to talk about the Sprint network. Assisting me is Henry Alshman, attorney. Sprint has the largest voice calling area and the largest mobile broadband network. No one has a more powerful network. It even protects us from meteors. Well, that's the word on the street.
Switch to the Sprint Power Network. Buy one Katana, get one free. Sprint. Power up.
10 years after TWA Flight 800 exploded, what are airline passengers not being told? A special 2-hour investigation.
Why are passengers still at risk?
CNN presents No Survivors, Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
House Democratic leaders have promised to push for big changes in their 100-hour program that begins Tuesday. That agenda includes issues contributing to the war on the middle class in this country, including an increase in the minimum wage, cutting interest rates on student loans, cutting prescription drug costs. My guest tonight says that's not enough. Reverend Jesse Jackson is calling on Congress to focus on urban neglect and to create a new modern urban policy. Good to have you with us.
Well, good to be with you. You know, Lou, trade policy is critical to it all. I was in Dearborn, Detroit, Michigan 2 weeks ago, losing 55,000 Ford jobs. Is it we can't make cars? No. Toyota can build plants in America. We can't build plants in Japan. We're playing with one hand behind our back. Absolutely. We negotiate a deal where it is illegal, negotiate cheaper price for America's seniors to get medicine. And so part of it is to even the playing field. We didn't know how good baseball could be till everybody could play.
Right.
We do well on an even playing field. So part of our issue here is an even playing field.
You've talked with the Democratic leadership. The focus on urban policy is not one of the priorities per se that they're focusing on. How do you feel about where they're headed?
I'm concerned that in this first 100 hours, they didn't mention Katrina, right, which is a metaphor for neglected urban policy. In neglected urban policy, you have first-class jails and second-class schools. That's retarded. There must be a plan not just to raise the minimum wage, but for those who have no job, that means nothing to them. Or if you are going to take interest off the tuition, which is a good thing, for those who can't get to college, it means nothing to them. There must be some commitment to job creation infrastructure investment, and affordable education. Those are three keys to a sound urban policy.
Three keys to a sound urban policy. Do you believe that the Democrats in either the House or the Senate are going to embrace it and come up with an approach that
They'll have to be pressed to do it, because there is now a focus on, is the issue of bipartisanship as a noble thing, or is bold leadership and a new course? Some old wineskins don't want to fit new old wineskins, don't want to fit in the new wine jug. And so the idea of jobs and tying tax cuts into reinvestment, they may not want to go. We need new direction and boldness in that direction. And those who have ears to hear, or in the bipartisan way, hear.
Are you excited though? I mean, they have already passed. Pelosi's Congress has already passed ethics reform, pushing back. They begin their 100-hour countdown next week. It seems to me
there's a new atmosphere. There is a certain collegiality. The idea of asserting women leadership, putting all our leadership on the table, the idea of a family woman, the children and grandchildren, there's something that smells good about that. But I think now I'm concerned, Lou, that the impact of 50 million without health insurance, that's a big deal. That must be on the agenda. You can't quite be against the war and keep funding it and don't ask Britain and the Persian states to pay their part of the bill for that war. We've got to have some of that money to reinvest in America. I would hope in this week we're going to have Congressman Rangel and his leadership will be there on Sunday. Senator Hillary Clinton will be there. Yeah, Senator Hillary Clinton will be there. Senator Dodd will be there. We'll have other leadership to figure out how can you meet with these big bankers who are now flushing in money to incentivize greenlining, redlining America. They have overseas OPIC, but America's underserved markets, in fact, have more money, safe and more secure. Let's reinvest in America.
Investing in America is a novel concept, whether urban, suburban, or rural.
Well,
this
whether
time.
it's Appalachia or urban America, and that's something universal. That's the one big tent America where all of us can share the big American dream. So this Sunday, the 7th through the 10th, we'll have our Rainbow Push 10th Annual Economic Summit Conference.
Jesse Jackson, good to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck. Coming up next, three of the country's best political minds on their insights on today's top-level shakeup in the Bush administration and what the future holds in store for Iraq. And this week in Heroes, our tribute to our troops serving this nation around the world. The Air Force didn't give Kevin Davis the job he wanted, but he quickly distinguished himself in the duty he was assigned. Stay with us.
I'm 77 years old, and I work as a waitress.
Osteo Biflex, the #1 doctor-recommended joint care brand.
I work 10, 12, 14 hours a day. I exercise. I walk 3 miles in the morning.
The glucosamine and chondroitin, as found in Osteo Biflex, actually lubricates and cushions your joints.
I just couldn't do it without Osteo Biflex.
For a $3 off coupon and more information on Osteo Biflex, go to osteobiflex.com right now.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare supplement plans. If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you thousands of dollars. These are the only Medicare supplement insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit, plus this free guide to understanding Medicare. I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist. Call 1-800-673-4168 now. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting.
Between my two phone bills, it's probably about $60 a month.
About $150.
Probably $100 a month.
With Vonage, you get unlimited calls to anywhere in the U.S. and Canada, and all the cool features you could ever want are included. And it's just $24.99 a month.
Call 1-800-970-8082 and get 1 month free. Act now and get a prepaid card worth $25. Spend it like cash.
Joining me now, Democratic strategist, Democratic National Committeeman Robert Zimmerman, New York Daily News columnist Michael Goodwin, syndicated columnist Miguel Perez. Gentlemen, good to have you here. Well, let's start out with a shakeup. You've got to be excited about the fact that first, Nancy Pelosi has begun to live up, and the Democrats in Congress have begun to live up to that 100-hour promise, a good start. And you've got to be, I would hope, excited about the fact President Bush actually got rid of a few generals who hadn't been able to deliver.
Well, first, on Speaker Pelosi's front, these are the most sweeping reforms since Watergate, both affecting ethics in Congress and lobbying. So it's very encouraging in that respect.
Absolutely.
And what the media, I think, will learn in the next couple of days is the reforms she put in place regarding the conference committees and how they address earmarks will also be very important in terms of shedding more light on that.
In other words, requiring that those parochial interests on the part of congressmen have to be disclosed, those earmarks.
As far as the military, though, very frankly, from what I see, President Bush has already reached his conclusions. Now he's trying to find the facts and personnel to justify them. And I still don't see a plan in place from this president, and I'm still very concerned.
Well, Robert's anticipating next week, isn't he?
Yeah, next week we'll get to that, but I just want to, if I could, on Nancy Pelosi, and I hate to be the skunk at the garden party, but I think there are two problems with what Nancy Pelosi has done so far. The first is she had a fundraiser as part of her swearing-in process, $1,000 a ticket. Now, Republicans did worse, but that is no way to begin with a fundraiser. In a sense, you know, here we are, I'm in charge now.
Government isn't cheap here, come on.
$1,000 a ticket, not exactly the people's house. The second thing is, and I think this is going to be a challenge for her, is will she get an independent ethics panel? Will she get an outside independent group to look at Congress's ethics? Because as long as it's done in-house, it will not be done vigorously.
Michael, and it's never been done out of house.
Right.
Ever in the history of the
So
Republic.
this is the challenge. This is what she's promised.
Michael,
Let's see if she can pull
there's
it
a difference
off.
between reform and unilaterally disarm. I'm glad Nancy Pelosi is raising funds and protecting the Democratic majority.
Miguel, are you thrilled?
I'm not thrilled. I think that it's just one little move that she's made that's kind of effective. It's still up to the Senate to see if they go along with it. It's still up to the President to see. I think the pressure is now on the Senate and on the President to make those changes. Right. But in answer to your other question, the President is playing with musical chairs. He's just shifted a few people around. And what needs to change is the policy, not a few heads. Right. He is the guy in charge. He could have done the same thing with the same people he had before.
You guys are making me feel like a Pollyanna here. I'm excited about the fact that he finally got rid of a general amongst a host of generals who haven't been able to do anything, it seems, correctly in Iraq from the beginning. And Nancy Pelosi, I'm kind of excited. At least she's begun a process positively to try to push back that awesome power of over $2 billion in lobbying money.
The question is, how long are we going to be excited about this? And I think we're going to have to deal with reality pretty soon.
Okay. I think in terms of Iraq, Lou, that one of the things is that the president, as well as a lot of members of Congress, have been hiding behind the generals. They'll say, well, whatever the generals want, the generals.
By the way, you're right about that. I am so sick of hearing this president and the previous defense secretary saying, whatever the commanders say is what we'll do.
Yeah, and clearly it wasn't even true.
There was a chain of command.
It wasn't true in many cases, but ultimately the commander-in-chief is supposed to decide. I mean, I'm reminded of Abraham Lincoln in the Civil War. He was firing people left and right until he got the people he wanted to do what he wanted.
But let's
remember. Let me just, there's a downside to it, too. Of course, you could end up micromanaging the war, as Lyndon Johnson did, picking bombing targets in Vietnam. You don't want to do that, but the commander-in-chief should put people in place who can carry out the strategy that he sets. We'll have to wait till next week to see what that strategy is.
We've already seen what that strategy is.
No, we haven't.
And we've seen this president misjudge the reasons for going to war, misjudge the troop levels that were required, misjudge the cost of this war, misjudge the response we received to this war. This administration has sacrificed any credibility and any right to the confidence of the American people.
So what are the Democrats going to do about it, and what are they going to do about it now?
What the Democrats are going to do is hold this administration accountable. And by that I mean you've seen the Iraq Study Group come forward with recommendations. You've seen Republicans and Democrats in Congress come together with recommendations. We just don't see the administration having the courage or the vision to pursue bold new agendas. This troop surge, which is an escalation, is nothing more but stay the course with more soldiers.
I hope that what has already leaked out, that the president is about to do next week, is not enough. I think that he has to do a lot more. He has to come up with specifics and things that are going to produce results. If he doesn't come up with things that he can actually convince the American people, I'm going to do this and this is going to be the result, we won't go along with it.
We've just received word, by the way. I just want to bring everybody up to date, including you gentlemen, but certainly the audience first. Sam Brownback, as we have confirmed at CNN, will be running for president, and we'll have an official announcement on the 20th, which brings us to the subject of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, John McCain. Excitement building?
Slowly. I think it's a long way to go. I think Barack Obama is clearly stirred at the whole race. I think he has upset it, and I think he's a real threat to Hillary Clinton. I think John Edwards is not a threat.
I think the premise is wrong, Michael, when you assume that Hillary Clinton is in fact the front runner. The reality is, there is not a front runner in either party. The concept itself is politically obsolete. This is a wide open race on both sides, and I think when you see the fact that Barack Obama is generating the interest he is, Joe Biden is generating the interest he is, Edwards is generating a great response.
What about John McCain?
John, and the Republican side, McCain, Giuliani.
He gets so locked up on those Democrats.
It's of course a habit, but the point is you have a number of credible candidates from both sides running and a wide open race.
Let's turn to the issue of illegal immigration. Nancy Pelosi referring to it yesterday, about a little over half an hour into her tenure. They said they want it. What do you think, Miguel?
I think all the problems will be solved. The GPS, people coming through the border, all of these problems will be solved if we finally came up with an immigration reform plan that includes legalization. It definitely has to include a stop to illegal immigration from that point on. We have to get serious about stopping future illegal immigrants, but not without a legalization plan.
You can't do it that way until you until you put in place a program to secure the borders. Then you can't pursue an effective comprehensive immigration reform. And what concerns me most is that you had 27 Democratic senators vote for that fence along the Mexican-American border, and 64 House members vote for that fence, and they're going to be held accountable.
It's interesting to hear a Democrat talking that way, though.
Well,
Sounds like a Republican.
And I think it's what's interesting, too, is that the campaign is over now. The Democrats picked up seats in both houses. The president
the
heard
congressional
them.
campaign.
Right. And I think it's time now. We're going to have to come up with some ideas, some real solutions. And so attacking just isn't going to work. And on Iraq, I think we have to give the president a chance to put out a new strategy, and then let's see if it makes any sense.
It's time for some grown-up work from all quarters in Washington, D.C. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate it as always. Thank you. Up at the top of the hour, the Situation Room, and Wolf Blitzer. Wolf.
Thanks very much, Lou. As the president plans a new Iraq strategy, there's a shakeup in the top ranks of the U.S. commanders. Will it make a difference? I'll ask Tom Ricks, the veteran reporter for the Washington Post, the author of Fiasco. And I'll also speak with the new chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Joe Biden. He suggests the Bush administration may already be waving the white flag on Iraq. A solo sailor runs into serious trouble on an around-the-world voyage, then a dramatic rescue. We'll have the latest as he finally heads toward land. And the kissing Congress. Is the new leadership bringing a touchy-feely style to Capitol Hill? Jeannie Most standing by to take a look. All that, Lou, coming up right here in the Situation Room.
Well, thank you very much. Coming up here next, Heroes, our weekly tribute to this nation's men and women in uniform tonight. The story of Master Sergeant Kevin Davis, honored for his courage. Stay with us.
Monday night at 10, a special AC 360. CNN reports from South Africa as Oprah Winfrey realizes a dream. An unforgettable hour, Monday night at
At Pacific Continental, we know that sometimes all it takes to get your business off the ground and back up where it belongs is just a little well-timed draft. Pacific Continental. That's the PCB way.
Cold sores are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face.
Want them gone fast? Get Herpes L. Unlike other treatments, it helps heal lips fast, soothes skin, and protects lips. Herpes L.
Just put on a happy face.
America's changing shape with Dexatrim Max 2.0. Now in 2 delicious new flavors.
Gives me and my water a boost.
Size 8, here I come. Helps curb cravings. A healthy way to max out your weight loss. Dexatrim Max 2.0. Max out your water.
My favorite NBA League Pass moment?
Oh, wow.
Of course, Kobe's 81.
Kobe goes straight to the dribble in the lane, later.
He's one of the most exciting players in the league. I was just sitting at home in Jersey watching NBA League Pass.
History tonight.
I'm thinking he's going for 100.
I'm watching the game live online through NBA League Pass broadband.
You want to score big? Get the NBA League Pass
On digital cable.
Check out a free preview of NBA League Pass on digital cable, January 22nd to the 28th. When it comes to sports, we're on your team.
So do you have friends in New York?
Yeah?
What home phone service do you use?
Comcast, definitely. I get
unlimited calling in the U.S. and Canada.
great local customer service. All my favorite calling features.
Voicemail notifies me online.
It works on the phones I already have.
I got to keep my phone number.
And we only pay $33 a month for the whole year.
For just $33 a month, Comcast is giving people something to talk about. Call 1-800-COMCAST today.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta Special, CNN, Saturday, January 13th.
And now our weekly tribute to the men and women who serve this nation in uniform around the world. Tonight, we introduce you to Master Sergeant Kevin Davis, who entered the Air Force to better himself, and 2 decades later, as a tactical air controller in Afghanistan and Iraq, honored for risking his life to save the lives of others. Casey Wyan has his story.
Master Sergeant Kevin Davis enlisted in the Air Force more than 20 years ago as a self-described fraternity guy in need of discipline.
Went to the recruiter's office and he asked me what I wanted to do. I explained to him what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an air traffic controller.
Davis thought he'd be looking at radar screens in a tower somewhere. Instead, he fights the war on terror from the ground, calling in air support for Special Operations Forces. The job has placed Davis in the middle of firefights. He was among the first deployed to Afghanistan after 9/11.
They only picked a handful of us to go over there at the beginning, and I was happy to be one of the few that were picked.
Davis was awarded a Bronze Star for his efforts there.
It was very satisfying to get that Bronze Star because being one of the first guys, to start the whole war on terrorism is a good feeling.
When the United States invaded Iraq, Davis again was one of the first called. He's completed 2 tours there. During the second, Davis survived one particularly long firefight.
I was the only Air Force guy attached to a Special Forces team, and our mission was to go down and assist guys in Karbala and flush out some of the enemy.
For 12 hours, Davis battled from the back of a Bradley fighting vehicle, controlling air support while dodging rocket-propelled grenades. His adrenaline kept him focused.
I'm more worried about doing the job correctly and protecting the guys that I'm with than I'm worried about myself.
Last month, Davis received his second Bronze Star for valor on that mission.
There's guys that I wish I could be here, but it's a satisfying feeling to know that you did the job that you were supposed to do, and you did it as well as you could do it.
Casey Wyan, CNN, reporting.
And after 2 decades of service, Master Sergeant Davis says he's more committed than ever to the U.S. Air Force and has no plans to retire anytime soon. Coming up, the results of our poll tonight, more of your thoughts. Please stay with us.
Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, is Iraq beyond repair? We'll ask the Washington Post Tom Ricks, the author of the bestseller Fiasco, tonight in The Situation.
There's the week, there's the weekend, and then there's the weekender.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the subscription from the New York Times, I love it.
Like your whole weekend's just started. It's come a little early.
So the deal is you call the 1-800 number, and then you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $3.25, which is half off, which is pretty crazy.
So you get the Friday paper, and boom, you're right into the weekend.
Saturday. The word alone makes me happy. I love to sort of pull everything out of the Sunday paper.
Travel section.
Magazine.
Weekend review.
The international news.
The book review. I got these really great boots after reading the Sunday style section.
All I did was call the 1-800 number.
I'm not one of those call now people.
Call!
You should call now.
I love to have the New York Times delivered.
Who doesn't like to save money?
Call now because it's a great deal.
It's like having a table of contents for everything in the world.
I mean, how much would you give for that?
The Weekender subscription from the New York Times. Get it now for as low as $3.25 a week. Call 1-800-727-7464.
Who doesn't like to start the weekend a day early?
Hi, I'm John Scher, CEO and founder of Video Professor. I'm the guy that gives away the free computer learning lessons. Well, today I'm here to tell you about a great new lesson that many of you have been asking for. And here it is, how to buy and sell on eBay. And I'll give it to you free. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I'll make you the next millionaire selling an attic full of baseball cards, but I can guarantee you that I'll teach you everything you need to know about eBay. And again, I'll send you this lesson free. Now, I can do this because I know that once you try my lesson on eBay, you'll be so satisfied that the next time you need to learn anything about computers, you'll come back to Video Professor for all your computer learning needs. And with over 40 lessons on all of today's most popular computer programs, I know there is more you want to learn. And don't forget, call now and I'll send you eBay or any other lesson of your choice free. And I guarantee your satisfaction, or I'll send you $10. So what do you got to lose? Try my product.
Call 1-800-434-5196.
Dish Network subscribers, stand up and object. Court TV has been dropped. You've lost the only network that covers the daily live courtroom drama.
The only network
of today's biggest trials.
This is our expertise.
And the primetime destination for exciting crime and justice entertainment.
This sounds like a very personal attack.
Dish Network subscribers, don't stand for this injustice. Get Court TV by calling 1-800-710-1922.
Closed captioning hours on CNN, sponsored in part by Oric Vacuums. Nothing gets by an Oric.
Who makes the most amazing vacuum? I do. Try my 8-pound Oric XL free for 30 days.
The results of tonight's poll, 96% of you do not support a policy of withdrawal and retreat when our National Guardsmen are confronted with Mexican gunmen advancing across our border. Time now for some of your thoughts. Jennifer in Ohio saying, these stuffed shirt people who were paid by us keep telling us about how many jobs there are out there. They're right. Trouble is, they only pay $8 to $10 an hour. Can any of them feed their families, pay insurance, and send their children to college on that? And Lou in Missouri, no wonder Social Security will be broke by 2024. If they keep giving it to those illegal immigrants, it will be broke sooner than that. And Andrea in Missouri, it's interesting to see that President Bush and our own government can take away the rights of U.S. citizens by claiming they're protecting us from terrorists. But when it comes to big business, it's a double standard. I guess when you have the money to buy your own rights, anything goes, even if that means our own government selling out America. Charles in Oklahoma, I find the current atmosphere of frivolity and celebration amongst the now majority Democrats to be appalling and unsettling. Against the backdrop of our young men and women losing life and limb, their mood should be somber, sober, and introspective. Thanks for being with us tonight. For all of us